Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Classic Quest podcast, the show where we break down classic rap albums track by track, give our thoughts and opinions, let you know what we think. Today is another patron-requested album. We will be talking about Kool Rap and DJ Polo's album, Live and Let Die, and this was requested by Mr. DJ Black Hurricane, so thank you for that request. My name is Holden Stephan Roy.
I am your lady friend Bonnie.
And yeah, like I said, we're going to go through this Kool Rap and DJ Polo album track by track, give you our thoughts and our opinions, and that's what we do over here. So we're going to do our little intro bit. You can check the description of the video to see when, in fact, we start talking about the episode. But before we jump into it, we do like to point out that there's a huge chance that you, person coming to watch this review, knows a fair bit more about Kool Rap and DJ Polo than we do. And for us, this is more of a newer experience to try to understand why these albums are classics as we learn and go. And it's kind of like an open learning project together. So just keep that in mind as you go through it. And also, we very much value all the comments we get on the channel. So, as we may say some things that are silly or maybe a little bit not correct.
Like, we're just using our own opinion and, like, logic.
Yeah, so just feel free to put any kind of corrections or comments or anything you want to add to it. We really appreciate it. And to show how much we mean it, we always like to read our favorite comment of last week's video. So last week, we talked about Blue and Exiles, Give Me My Flowers While I Can Still Smell Them. And on that, and Lindell Williams here, he did a twofer. He put, I watched this review a couple of days ago, and I think the score of 4.4 is right on the money. I like that Lindell Williams always gives a score. Feel free to give your scores too.
Yeah.
It's something that I would probably listen to, but more for something of this particular sound, only rather than going to it on a regular basis. Although I did vibe of this album, I would have liked to have heard him pushing the limit a little more, in which I know he can do. I also think his influence is, as what he said in the review, old school based, and I can tell by the delivery of his lyrics, it was a pleasure to listen to the album. Great review. To add to the comment, I loved it. I must say that I think there is some sound production. It was interesting on some of the instrumental type songs. Let's be real, Exile's a fucking wizard.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have heard some lyrics laid down on those tracks. Exile's a wizard. Let's just keep it at that. My score would be higher if that had happened, but overall, I think it is a classic. So if you do like Blue and Exile, let us know what you thought about that, but that is not the album that we are here to talk about today.
Oh, no.
We're going to get to it in a quick minute. Special thanks to those patrons, though. Ismail Good MC, Chris Prado, DJ Black Hurricane, Lindell Williams, and Jonathan Barnes. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the episode. And Bonnie, why don't you tell the Google peoples what album we are reviewing one more time?
Well, one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Kool Rap and DJ Polo, Live and Let Die. Not to be confused with the Paul McCartney song that later came out for the James Bond film.
All right. So this is the part of the show where we contextualize a familiarity with the artist. So just kind of like, because for us, like, we're looking at these albums as a whole, right? People like singles a lot, and so in this new era, to like just kind of go back to like almost the past when people almost created bigger projects and shit.
Yeah.
And maybe not everybody did it with the intent of it being a bigger project, but I feel like the bulk of what we've covered on this channel has been stuff that is meant to be like part of a project. So, I mean, I think with that is your knowledge of the act and how much of the music you have listened to. Like, this is not their first album. So if you
This
were
is their third album, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, so if you were around when it dropped back in 1992,
January 1st, I think.
You are gonna have quite the different experience than if the first time you heard the project may have been like April 2019, upon which is my reality. So I have heard of Kool Rap before because we reviewed his 2017 project, and we were very ignorant back then. I don't think you were there. I think it was Chris, Damon, and I. And oh boy, did we not get it. This was like the point. Completely missed it. It was real bad. So feel free to check that out with my like telling you I know how bad it is. And then a lot of people have said check out the older shit. It was mad dope. So Mr. DJ Black Hurricane has forced our hand here. So to answer your question, maybe of why are you reviewing this album? Well, this was the request there, but I mean, I know that the name is heavily like influential in hip hop.
I've definitely heard of him before. Like I've heard the name before. I think maybe in like my research for like lyrical breakdown content, like his name has come up a few times. And so yeah, I mean he's definitely somebody that I've come across.
So and it's like when you have guys from like Eminem or Big Pun or all sorts of names who are just citing him directly as like their big influence who has impacted their like ability to construct rhymes and shit. Debatably, he's one of the first gangster rappers. I was watching a DJ Vlad interview where he was saying, listen, Schoolie D may have made gangster rap songs before I did, but he wasn't known for gangster rap songs back then like I was. So he had all sorts of stuff, and we all knew him in a certain way. But me, I was known.
It's funny that
for,
these like old school guys are still like battling it out.
But it was just kind of fun to watch. But he was describing some shit like how when Fat Joe met him, Big Pun. When Big Pun met him, he just dropped to one knee and kissed his ring to show fucking respect and shit. And it's like, man, can you picture Big Pun just like dropping down to his knee to kiss your ring? Like the feeling of like, wow, I am legend that must fucking be in that moment.
Yep.
And
that's pretty cool.
I saw them talking about how like basically Big Pun kind of is the Kool G rap flow, but in a different twist on it. So I think everyone was trying to say he's hella fast, but they didn't want to say it like that so directly. I don't know, but I don't know if Kool G rap ever goes that fast as Big Pun was going with it. Like I just don't know. I don't think we saw little snippets of it on this album. Anyway, that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So all that to say, I understand the influence and the legend and everything he's done for the culture in the little way that I understand it at this point. So I'm gonna take that into mind as we go into this project. Like this is the shit that the rappers are listening to. Whether or not the fans feel it. Like as I saw him described, he's a rapper's rapper. He's the Larry David of hip hop. Because Larry David's a comics comic. If you didn't get that, anyway. So what about you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know like a little bit about him, but like only by name. Like I couldn't tell you like what I've heard of his. And as well, I mean, that's pretty much it. This is the first time I've ever heard of DJ Polo.
Never heard of DJ Polo either.
And the album cover, let's talk about that. Like it's pretty cool looking. It's very like gangster, and it does like represent like kind of one of the songs that they talk about.
They're fucking hanging.
Yeah, it's like them in like.
Well, they have chairs. I guess they're standing on.
Yeah, I think it's them that's like holding these guys up, and like they're in like masked outfits, and like they look like they're like robbing the place. And I think that the people who are hanging are the undercover cops that they find out, and the dogs are tied to the chairs, and they're like taunting the dogs with like big chunks of meat or steaks or something. And so obviously the dogs are gonna come and then pull the chairs, and the guys are gonna like hang, and that's gonna be that.
It's pretty hard. As far as like covers, plus it's got that like fishbowl lens effect that just screams early 90s at me.
Yeah.
But like I really like this cover because this is some no holds barred, like I don't give a fuck what you think type shit. Like this is what the album's gonna be like. It's actually pretty fair. It's like, if this offends you, don't listen to this shit.
Yeah.
But if you're interested, you're gonna get this shit. I mean, it looks memorable, and I think that's really important for an album cover. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I
like the title, right? Because it's supposed to be Live and Let Learn, like get over it, type shit. But no, now it's Live and Let Die.
I think it's supposed to be Live and Let Live, no?
I thought it was Live and Let Learn. But either way, I'm going to Google that real quick. Is it? Oh, it is Live and Let Live. Fuck. I was wrong. I don't even know what that is. Well, now, isn't Live and Let Learn a thing too? Maybe. I don't know. Either way, Live and Let Die is just the opposite. Yes, Live and Let Learn is a thing. We were both right. Woo!
I was righter.
And they mean the same thing. It means that you're supposed to take a life lesson and learn from it. So Live and Let Live is a stupider version, when Live and Let Learn is like the...
My version's better.
Which version do you have in your local area that you're coming from? I was talking to you, YouTubies. Is a YouTubies a thing? Anyway, basically Live and Let Die is to go the opposite way. Oh, it's like, oh, you have a lesson coming in, fucking kill them. Deal with the situation. There is no learning. There is no moving past it. Shit is final.
Yeah.
And I really, like, it adds like a severity to the project that really kind of gets you like, okay, shit will be real on this one. But yeah, that's what I got to say about that.
Let's get into it. Let's check out the intro, which also has a parentheses. I can't even say it properly. Live and Let Die.
Let's listen. Let's do it. So, it kind of sounds like a movie introduction, like street whatever, parades, blah blah blah, and then like the voice kicks in. New York City, the Big Apple, a place of opportunity and success, where most men discover their blindest dreams. There isn't another city quite like this one, but in some places, you be careful crossing the street. Like, it just kind of like changes the entire tone.
Well, it's short. It's only 41 seconds, this one.
But it's a cool juxtaposition, right? Because you think New York in a certain way, the Big Apple, and especially as a youngster growing up in Montreal at this time, we totally fetishize New York and shit. I mean, look at Die Hard. Look at all these great adventures that take place in New York and shit. And like, you think about it as like, this is the place, the magic, the everything, but you only ever see the glossy side of it, the shiny parts of the apple. And here, you're going to get to see the rotten core of what the fuck actually goes on behind that shiny veneer that, you know, gets put out to the whole world. So I think it's cool to like take that like almost Hollywood idea of what New York is and just like flip it and set you up for like this album. And as far as the intro goes, does the job what an intro is supposed to do. Super well produced. It's fine. I give it a 4.25.
Yep. I like how it definitely sounds kind of like movie-esque at the beginning, kind of almost like film noir kind of mysteriousness to it. Like, it kind of has that cold, like it feels like you feel like a cold wind and like leaves kind of blowing and stuff like that. It kind of gives you like that whole visual just like by listening to the sound of it. Like, it just kind of gives you that. And just kind of like, it's like a place of dreams, and New York is wonderful, and you can have great success and whatever, but it's also a dangerous place, is kind of like what he's saying. So you can almost like visualize like exactly like what he's talking about because of like the description of like that the narrator is kind of giving. So it was interesting. And he's from Queens, New York, I believe. So I also gave it a 4.25.
Yeah, it's a really cool start. Like, and just another point, it definitely gets you to stop thinking about whatever you were thinking about before, and it kind of gets you ready to jump on the run. All right, Bonnie. How do you feel about this Paul McCartney song, On the Run?
Well, I'm going to go into it. So he's kind of involved with the mob, and he's dealing drugs for them. This one is like a whole story, so I really like that. So sometimes like when he's like transporting like millions of dollars, he gets tempted, even though he knows that they'll like retaliate and like hurt him and his family. He decides he's gonna take that chance, and he's gonna do it anyways. And he like makes his plot like to like escape from like everything and to like run away from like the mob by like, you know, going back and like taking his wife and his kids or his child. But then like, so they pack up and they go in a frenzy and everything, and then like on the way to the airport, he gets like stuck in traffic, and it's like this whole thing. And then I guess like these guys find out that this guy had, you know, he tried stealing money from them, and obviously like the mobs.
Sorry, these guys are the Luciano family, which is one of the big mob families.
Yeah, you know, like the OG guys. And then so they find out that he's, maybe skimmed money or taken money from them, or
it's
drugs or whatever.
A briefcase full with $500,000.
Yeah, so don't mess around.
And he skipped a meeting that he was supposed to go meet them and deliver it to get more shit.
Yep. So yeah. So anyways, so he somehow in this traffic, the mob guys like pull up next to him, and basically like there's like a shoot off. And his wife gets hit, but his kid is okay. But he's not really sure like if his like wife's okay. And then just like the mob just wants him dead. Clearly, like this is like what they're trying to do. And then in the third verse,
The wife gets hit in the upper arm. She's totally fine. We can keep going.
Yeah, and in the third verse, there's like nothing about it. Like there's no like mention of like, helping her out or bandaging. Like she just seems like totally fine. Like they've completely forgotten about it. And he ends up having like. Anyways, the mob finds them anyways, and he ends up having a shoot off with the mob guys and ends up killing them all.
With the Luciano family's core group.
Yeah.
Luciano himself is there.
Yeah, and then now he's a free man. He's gotten away. He's killed all these mafia like gangster guys, and that's pretty much it. So it is kind of like a great story. I like this kind of a song. I like when like this is something that I would do for like a lyrical breakdown. I mean, it seems a little unlikely, but it does seem like a good story. It's something that you can imagine from like in like a movie. You can imagine this, which kind of goes back to the introduction and how it kind of feels like a film, like how this like how New York is like the setting for like a lot of films. So it's interesting. I liked it. I gave this a 4.5.
So I have like a whole other level to this song that like it kicked in because there's a story, but there's like this attitude of complete disdain for the mafia that gets kicked in. Now, as I understand it, the mafia did not like black people and basically left shit like heroin to them and kind of were extremely racist in it. So they would treat the black folk as inferior and use them for bullshit work, etc. So when you get some shit like doing some pickups, deliveries, transporting keys, which, hold up, deliveries, transporting keys, that's some fucking rhyming. Everybody on the internet seemed to believe this is the greatest part of what he does, so I guess I was looking for it. But it also rhymes with making G's, deliveries, transporting keys, got me like a flunky, money. I'm driving around with 10 kilos inside my trunk G. I'm also reading the edited lyrics off of the Genius, page C. I was trying to add my own shit in. But so if I fuck up and don't put the cussing in, it's because it's the clean version of the lyrics for some reason. But
there still is cussing, so I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, so like it's just that the rhyming is impeccable. So not only is he moving the story along, he's hitting it in like this like constant flow where it's almost like he's anxious to just get the line started. So it almost feels like everything's a little bit early, but in like an on time kind of way. I'm not trying to say he's off time, but it's just I like the way he hits his flow up. But then to make everything just rhyme and like everything rhymes perfectly is pretty fucking cool. Like, and I'm trying to ignore it, but sometimes I get tempted to do a dip and make a run for it. And like he just is doing this multi-syllabic rhyming, which is more than just, the regular shit. And it's really cool. And it's a really dope thing to do, in my opinion. He definitely keeps a bit of like a constant cadence on the song. And I'm not going to say he has the same flow on every song, but I find that within the same song, he'll kind of maintain the same flow as he goes along through it. But at the same time, the story is pretty fucking riveting and full of all these little details. Like, come on, baby, pack your stuff, get ready. And then he has a girl come in and go, damn, why your face all sweaty? Like, really, like, responding to him, adding that, like, little extra theatrical situation. And then they run on, they go on the run, and then you hear the mobs talking. They got the whole shipment. What? They got the whole shipment. I want that son of a bitch dead. I don't care. And it's just fucking, like, it's really fun. And it's sampled from the Untouchables with Al Capone and shit. And I like how they did that, brought it all in. Over a beat that, like, I'm not really great with the beats, but let me be clear, DJ Polo is one of those dudes that, like, I don't know if he actually created the beat or he just engineered it. I don't know. Sometimes, I know at least one of the tracks somebody else did it, but, so it was produced by Sir Jinx, and I guess DJ Polo is more of the live performing DJ. I should have looked this up ahead of time. I didn't. My bad, everybody. But, so Sir Jinx's production, then, is fucking, like, ridiculous. Whoever fucking made the beats good. Lots of sound, like it sounds like samples, but really like layered and laced in a way that creates like that thick groove driven, like you just kind of get sucked into it. Where your biggest problem, at least as a reviewer, is how the hell do I pay attention to the lyrics when this beat is just like sucking me in and making me want to vibe to it, making you want to go back and listen again because the story is pretty fucking detailed and shit. So I mean, it started off with that like movie introduction, and then to like flow it into this pretty dope tale over this great beat where like incredible rhyming, like nothing is wasted. It all just feels like it was well thought out, well put together, and I really respect the talent that I'm seeing on this song. It was really impressive to me. If you're into the lyrical shit and you haven't heard this, well, you should hear this. So I give it a 4.5 on 5. I'm gonna be clear, it's not my favorite sound in terms of beats and shit. Just that's why it's not a 5. I would put this on like when I'm in the mood for it type shit. And in terms of the realms of what it is, blows my fucking mind.
Cool.
Oh yeah, you went first this time.
Yep.
So why don't we, instead of having any parentheses, just talk about Live and Let Die.
Okay.
Put on a contract, enough for sucking a rough. Even my mother's walking around packing a 350.
So this starts off and you hear like there's some kind of a drug deal going on and there's lots of people and the phone rings and dude's describing a white guy with a scar and yo, if he smokes a Marlboro, that's the 5-0. And so he asks him for a cigarette, it's a Marlboro, and it's like, it's fucking cops, and bang, 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 bang. And then the song kind of just starts and it kicks in and like the whole tone shifts into a much quicker upbeat version of like what we just heard in terms of style. So what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously like that's pretty much it. They discover the undercover cops, and then there's like the news report that, you know, these 2 undercover cops are found murdered in an apartment. Like that's how it relates to the cover of this album, and like it was them, and it kind of sounds like an eerie, it's kind of an interesting beat because it sounds like an eerie like Charlie's Angels kind of sound, like their theme song. And it is sort of like the hard realities of like the troublesome street life and like kind of the things you get into, and people are going to die and you're just going to have to live with that and move on and carry on. Otherwise, you know, like if you're in like a shootout with like one gang versus another gang or something like that, and like your friend gets like shot, like you can't stick around, you'll just get killed as well. So it's just kind of like that, like you just kind of have to let things go, and people are going to die, and you just have to, you know, it's kind of like survival of the fittest. You just have to keep on going. And yeah, so it kind of, you know, and it kind of reminds me of like the Paul McCartney song, like I said before. And then he kind of talks about that he couldn't really like handle like a 9-to-5 kind of a job, or he couldn't get one, and he's kind of talking about like how he, you know, used to kill people, and then, or no, how he's killing people, and then he plants a bomb and kills like a bunch of cops, and like this is the only life that he knows, you know, like he like sets up like this whole like thing just to like, you know, screw over the cops, and this is his life, this is how he makes money, this is how he functions, and like there's not a lot of like options for like people in the hood, and you know, it is sort of like the hard reality, like this is like, well, this is my job that I go to every day. I go and I commit crimes and I do whatever I have to do to make money and feed my family and, you know, do that kind of stuff. But it sounds pretty cool, and I really like this one, so I give this a 4.5.
Fair enough. So yeah, it kind of has, I feel like each verse kind of takes its own topic and he kind of like sticks to it. I mean, as far as his rapping goes, it's quicker, but it's that same core flow, that like kind of really cadence driven, conversational, like I'm telling you some shit now kind of tone. I got a chance to get some money, so I'm taking it, no joke, because this being broke shit just ain't making it, because I grew up in the fast lane, see my pop run the numbers, and my mom's held the blackjack games. And so he paints this picture in the first verse of like how growing up, well, his parents were involved in some maybe more illicit type shit, and you know, his dad was moving drugs and whatnot, but like he saw these containers being like set up, and then by the time he was 10, they like moved the money out of his home into something else. And you know, everyone knew that his dad is not somebody to be fucked with, because if you tried to fuck with him, you're gonna die. Even his mom's got a gun on her. Cops are dropping dead everywhere. Undercovers are getting killed and shit, and that's why when you're young on the streets, you gotta live and let die. And so you kind of get this whole situation building up the consequence of where you understand where it's like you have to be willing to kill almost, or willing to do what needs to be done to survive in this environment, because seeing how his dad earned that respect and seeing how his parents maybe took that, I don't know if it's literally his parents or if it's just describing somebody who, you know, anybody's parents, right? But just being in that environment and seeing it all transition, it's like, well, no shit, you're going to end up with this, you know, frame of mind. And then that second verse, you know, it kind of flows a little bit more into like his own prospects and his desires and his like willing and want to like kind of get money. Like some people say selling weight is a death rate, but I can't wait to set up shop in the next state. I ain't worried about a brother trying to take mines because my plot comes on 100-shot 9. Police are right on my heels, but I'm always one step ahead of the punks making dope deals. You know, like he's set up, he's meticulous, he understands the game, he's fucking killing it. People can't be coming after him. He's fucking willing to fight and do whatever he's got to do. Mm-hmm. And like you just kind of get the sense that like he grew up, he saw this environment, now he's doing this type of shit, but he's so fucking smart that when the police go to raid it, you get that little skit where it's like they're getting bombed and shit. Yep. And I love how when he goes, you gotta live and let die, you hear like an explosion at the start of the third verse. Like that's just what it is, man. If the cops is coming at you, fucking kill them. Forget all that bullshit about saving the soul. Some chump will pump your ass full of bullet holes, so I'm out to make a killing, and all you suckers are chilling because I ain't just an ordinary villain. And you just, it's like one of those lines where it's like, I mean, certainly at first glance that could be perceived as some not nice approach to life, but I find it kind of realistic. Like corporate America is not that different. I mean, the way we actually act versus how we pretend to act is a lot more like that. It just sounds to me like it's a more blunt and apt way to describe the killer be killed mentality that dominates throughout corporate America and anywhere else. Like, yeah. So saving your soul, I mean, like honestly, who the fuck do people care about outside of their circle? I mean, even you watching this, you might care about a lot of people. You might donate to charity. You might be a real nice person, but you really gonna be out there saving souls and shit? Really? I don't know about that. But the truth is, we all, if you're in especially a certain kind of environment, the likelihood of somebody killing you is very different. So that's where you're at. Do what you have to fucking do kind of thing. Whereas, like, if you know people are going to snitch on you, people are going to come at you and be malicious, people are going to domineer, you find ways to deal with each of those circumstances. Yep. I like when he goes, it ain't about a fair fight because I only get open for smoking suckers in daylight. Another punk bites the dust because I just blood out your butt like pus. You know, it's fucking vicious in the sense that he's trying to make it as vile as possible. This isn't meant to be, like, happy. It's just kind of what it is, is what I'm feeling from it. But it's almost like if you're going to do it, go balls to the walls and do it fucking right. I don't know, man. You hear about how some cops were dying, and like the kind of end of the skit kind of plays out, and it really does create this like theatrical thing. Like he's out there and they're just dealing with the situation. Don't be a snitch. We don't tolerate undercovers around here. Some points are very made, but mostly I feel like it's saying like, how can you blame peer? Oh, and then in the third verse, right, he's fucking all about killing the women and shit. That was another part. Like, he is not afraid to fuck up your mother. Any woman that pisses him off too, it's gonna take him out. He's not sexist is what he's trying to say. He'll fuck up anybody that he has to. And I think just the part where he's willing to kill women and shit, just he's willing to go that much further in savagery because, you know, at least in the 90s it wasn't okay to hit women. And these days it's, I don't know where we're at with that shit. I
think it's probably still the same.
I feel like there are literally two sides. See, there's a weird side. So there's the side where like people just didn't care and whatever, it's bad. But then there's that sexist attitude, and that's literally another side of the conversation that exists now, even if it's stupid. I digress. I like this song. I feel like it really, again, drives home the idea of this environment breeds this behavior. Right? Yeah. Well, he describes it as reality rap. Gangster rap is not the term that Kool G Rap uses, which the G is genius, the cool genius of rap. That's cool. He's the cool genius of rap, and he's showing his genius in this song. I really like this. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I mean, I feel like in terms of quality, this is going to be one of the most consistent albums. Like, the beat is as good, the rhymes are as good, but it's also different, so your interest is still peaked in shit. I don't know. It's a great track. But the next one is him going to be telling us all about how crime pays.
That's right.
Niggas ain't trying to live in poverty. In a black man's lottery, it's a motherfucking robbery.
I like this one. It's like a little bit kind of criticizing the system a little bit.
Yeah.
Crime don't pay. That's what they tell us. It's a really weird idea, right? Like, oh, crime. I mean, crime is
Well,
like.
they are trying to keep. I mean, they are the people who are trying to keep, people out of like prison and to like
Are
not
they? I
go
feel
down
like
this route.
the they is more the system in place, the government authorities and shit. And it isn't really about that. I think it's just this is the branding. Well, crime doesn't pay. Vote for us. We're going hard on crime. We're putting in systems in place. But it doesn't really take into account the reality of a situation of when you're broke and jobs are crap. Well, maybe crime does.
And you have a criminal record.
Now, maybe if you want to look at the metadata of a situation in the macro point of view, well, only 10% of people are going to survive. If you want to look at it like that, from a super science point of view, you can make a very powerful argument to how crime is not cost effective for an individual. But it doesn't take into account the rest of an individual's circumstances. Anyway, but that's because the other motherfucker's getting jealous. Now, that's something I agree with. People are jealous if you're willing to break certain laws. I'm not going to say I break a lot of laws, but I am willing to jaywalk. Now, jaywalking is against the law in Canada.
Everybody here jaywalks.
That's not true. There's a lot of fucking people who are awful and make you wait at the light. But we're notoriously bad, us Montrealers, for jaywalking. But it's a safe crime to talk about on camera. It's not like I'm going to get clipped for that,
Yeah.
But, like, you see the difference, and, like, the people who won't do it, they look at you almost with this admiration. It's dangerous. You could die. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course I know I can fucking die crossing the street illegally. But, like, the likelihood of that is pretty fucking small. So I do it anyway. I look. I don't see cars. I cross. Or if I see cars, I can gauge the distance of how far it'll take a car at about 40 kilometers. That's right, Canada. 40 kilometers per hour. And that's, I think, 25-ish miles per hour. And, if I can judge if it's safe for me to cross the fucking street. Anyway.
Right.
But people will criticize you because they're imposing on themselves these rules. Anyway. That was my little tangent and parallels that isn't quite the same, but is trying to convey the same idea. But I'm going to tell you this, the neighborhood got the good fellas, and they come arrest us for the same shit they sell us, because they don't want to see a young black rolling inside a nice car, a nice kit, without the shit being stolen, so they come and lock up. Meanwhile, some corrupt politician is making bigger bucks. And that's a fascinating commentary on just how when white people commit certain crimes, it's a fucking problem, and when black people do, it's not a problem, but when black people do it, it is. So, like, black kids and white kids smoke pot at the same rate in America, but if you whiten at university and you get caught with some drugs, it's totally fine. But if you black in the hood and you get caught with some drugs, it's you should look up the slave amendment of the Constitution that allows for young people, anybody in jail, to be used for slave labor purposes in America. So, I don't know. Just food for thought and all that shit. But, I don't know. Meanwhile, folk be getting blamed for the crystal, but we don't grow the motherfucking coke, and we don't make the fucking pistols. Ain't trying to live in poverty, and a black man's lottery is a motherfucking robbery. And that's another, like, fascinating fucking point to me. Yeah. It's like, who makes the cocaine? It's definitely not the hood. It's imported. It comes from somewhere. And if you look up the situations with Noriega and the way Reagan's government played some shit, well, there's definitely, it came from the government. They brought the coke.
Yep. In
general. White people and all the celebrities doing cocaine, it was not a problem. It was okay to go do some blow, go to Studio 54, and party with Andy Warhol. That's totally fine. You can do all the blow you want, but you mix it up into little rocks and sell it. And, it's just fucked up, man. And the guns, like, who makes guns? I don't really see a little gun factory in the corner of Harlem.
It just makes me think of KRS and like what KRS-One when he did the 100 clips.
Right.
Going to New York.
Yeah, but like it's just like when you really like break it down, why is there so many gun stores per capita in those areas? I mean, why is there not some regulation that is like, yo, you can't do that? Why is it encouraged? Anyway, so I mean, then you're vilified and shamed simply because of the laws, Police don't look at a white man strange driving a Range Rover. I mean, that's probably true. I don't know. I feel like I don't know a lot of white people who drive Range Rovers. Anyway, so like I appreciate how like they don't want to. They kind of are forced into a certain lifestyle, and you look around and it's like, okay, all of this crime's happening, and maybe it's not like the nicest thing in the fucking world in any way, but like if you're comparing against all of the regular ass shit that's possible in like, I don't know if it's this song, but when he talks about I don't want to be a janitor, and it's like, you know what? I don't want to be a janitor either. Like, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like kind of pretentious.
So
like,
limited.
I have my nice, cushy, middle-class job right now, but let's say I lost that shit. Would I be a janitor? I don't know. Maybe I have too much pride for that shit. Maybe I'd be more inclined to do something on the dirty over actually literally cleaning up shit, you know?
Actually literally doing something clean.
Anyway, so like I like when in the second verse it's like stop, freeze, but at the same time some old rich fuck driving by with 20 keys because they came up with a law to keep the rich motherfuckers rich and the poor motherfuckers poor. And like again, it's just looking at this fact where it's like, if you have money, if you're right, if you're already set up, it's totally okay for you to go ahead and do whatever. You can have all the drugs. You're set up. You paid your bribes. You've done your due diligence in that regard. And there really is a system in place to keep the rich rich and the poor poor, because you just got to look at the wealth disparity charts of 2019 to see the prophetic words of Mr. Kool G Rap back in the day. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Song was proper. Gave me a lot to think about. It was cool because, I mean, we're going to get into a lull in the album where I feel like a few of the songs in a row are very, very similar.
Yeah.
But this part, it's just starting off with this, like, dynamic, alive, like, the topics are changing. His rapping, again, is consistent, but it gets different. It's like every beat, he twists it just enough to make it, like, a proper and alive experience. Anyway, I gave this track, if you want to guess it, you can guess it. It's a 4.5 on 5. It's fucking cool. But then the song just like abruptly ends before the next one. Yeah. I don't know. How did you think?
I mean, yeah, I only have like a little bit more to say. I mean, you pretty much covered it all. That, you know, obviously crime does pay for them. And, you know, like they're not trying to live poor, they're not trying to live in poverty, but like this is the only way that they can, you know, or he can see that like they can make a proper decent living is by committing crimes. It's the only way that they can pay their bills, keep their lights on, put food on the table, and you know, like you get to be like your own boss, so like you can kind of set your own hours and just do whatever, as long as you're making, you know, hitting those goals and you're able to achieve something from your crimes, then that's it. Then it is going to be a crime-based situation for a lot of people. It's the only way to make any real money, and it's sad, but it's true. And also, like, this is like, you know, 1992. I think it was written in 1990, 1991. So this is at like the height of like the kind of crack epidemic, and like how, you know, like New York was like a dangerous and dirty place back then, and it wasn't the clean, like, you know, hipster place that it is today. There was a lot more people involved in drugs, a lot more crimes, a lot more. It was a darker city, and so I think that, you know, like for them, like it was like the prime time to be committing crimes and be making money, and like you can be successful because everybody was doing it. So that's it. Like they take what they can get, and this is their reality. So it's him speaking the truth that he knows, and yeah, I mean it's really good, and it goes to show that, like, you know, these illegal jobs are easy to get into, and you can make a lot of money by doing all of these like kind of dangerous, you know, sketchy things. So yeah, and there's good mixing on this one as well. I liked it. So it's a solid message, and, you know, his reality. So I give this a 4.25.
All right. Well, the truth is, we're home, sweet home, as we record this.
Little man murdered on the scene. He tried to come off at the liquor store. He's only 17.
Hey, Bonnie, I would appreciate it if you start this one so we don't get to the end and you're like, well, I don't have much more to say because you said it all.
I'm not saying it like that. I'm not being snarky about it. So it starts off and there's like kind of like police siren in the background, so we kind of get the idea that they're being chased, and they're, you know, there's like a what is it called? Like cops, I guess. And it's just kind of like him talking about life in the hood and about the people who, you know, the addicts, the criminals, the police are always harassing them. There's always fights. It's just constant violence all the time. And but he's just kind of like, well, whatever. It's where I live. It's my home sweet home. Like this is my reality. I'm going back. You know, like you think that you can escape this, but he has to go back to this reality every single day, every single night. He goes back there and he wakes up, and this is his reality. So it is hard for like somebody that like that's living there and that's currently like in the situation to like even really escape it. So oh, and there was a weird like the beat just dropped like in the middle of the song, and I thought that felt like a little unnecessary on this track. Like I didn't really get the reason why that was done. Anyways, and then there's like in the next part there's like a girl, and she ends up dying from like an OD, and the drug dealer just kind of like doesn't really give a shit, and he just kind of goes on with his life. And like the buildings are falling apart, and he has to like walk up like 8 flights of stairs because the elevator has stopped working. And then he climbs up to the top of these stairs only to find out that he is getting evicted from his home, sweet home. So it sucks. It doesn't. I guess he just can't pay the bills and all these crimes and everything else. And so I guess, you know, for him, his crimes maybe don't pay enough to pay the rent. And again, it just seems like the harsh reality of like life back then and like the struggles. Like this is, you know, that probably a lot of people went through. So I give this another 4.25.
So we failed at Googling earlier, and by we, I mean me. Live and let live means you should tolerate the opinions and behavior of others, so they should similarly tolerate your own. Mm-hmm. And that's not what I said before, because I was wrong. So live and let die would be like, fuck that shit. Pop you for being, or the attitude is to not tolerate
not give a shit and just move on
and deal with the situations. Well, there you go. So person who commented and didn't get to this part, I will know that, because that happens sometimes. But then you get you see the comment, and then like later on, I see you corrected yourself 45 minutes later. Anyway, that's totally fine. I really like this song though. It's another like this one is like he has such like an ability to paint a canvas with his words in terms of like brothers on the corner selling junk got held up by the hotties who got the shotties in the trunk. You got the hard rocks waving Glocks at the punks. Police only harass you when they want to get a chunk. And you know, like you just get the picturing of him like walking up the street and he's like looking to the left and I see some dudes selling some shit, and then they got some girls over there and the shotguns are in the trunk, and you know, people fuck around, they wave guns around, and the police show up when they want to get paid, and you know, they got so many corners, they got so many stops, and I can't even bump up the block without the yo mount what you got, like, you know. So much of it's happening, so many people are involved in this that like he's just kind of grouped into this situation whether or not like he actually wants to be involved in it. He's walking past somebody looking strange, he's looking for a hit for the veins or a blow out somebody's brains. You have addicts in the neighborhood that are just that fucking desperate that they're willing to do anything to get high. I guess they would do anybody to get high too, depending on who they are. I mean, there's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where he gets the blowjob at the end of the movie.
Basketball Diaries, so good.
Anyway, even the shorties living naughty lives. I guess that was the next line. Walking around, even drive around with big 45s. I just like it flows on through, and everything about this really just kind of pushes the situation. Like these kids fucking killing and robbing a grandmother, just stabbing her. You know, literally nobody's safe. There's no integrity. There's no like rules. Everybody's just like fucking willing to kill anybody. It just sounds savage. And then it's like,
I don't think it is.
Yeah, this is my home sweet home, and this is where he comes from. This is his environment. This is what he sees. Then in like the second verse, it's kind of like some girl wants to fuck him, you know, but like, you know, she has VD, so that's an issue, and that's kind of bad because she's just passing it around. So you have to worry about that on top of it all. You have to worry about the cops harassing you. You have to worry about your daughter going to a drug dealer's party and getting fucking killed and shit. And it's just like the context it puts it in. On top of that, he has that crazy storytelling rhyming where so when he gets to lines like cops killing our kids but they bill us, so what's worse, the killer cops are the cop killers, every day's another risk, I'm even mad to go to my pad, the hallways always smell like piss. And I like how he's complicated with the rhyme where I'll have his main rhymes and I'll have little sub rhymes before it. And I mean, I see this a lot now because, I mean, I grew up with a lot of Eminem. So when I write, I go to those kinds of moves. And it's like, holy shit, this guy has literally got every dope-ass lyrical trick in the book. Being like, this is it. This is like the... I'm not saying he's the first one. I don't actually know that. But this is like the Black Sabbath of lyricism, man. It's like everything you can think of, like Black Sabbath wrote it, or you can like trace it all back is what a lot of metalheads would say. Like they wrote everything, you know. I'm certain you've heard that shit before.
Yes.
But like as I'm going through these songs, I'm like, yo, that's another trick. That's another one. And I'm really, really impressed with his like overall ability to rhyme. He really is. I don't see, if you actually rap in any way, I don't see how you can't not love this dude. He's fucking good with it. Stories, talent, excellent beat work. I don't know what else you could want in this track. If that beat was more of my style of banging, I would be giving it a 5, but it's another 4.5 because that's how a lot of this album hit me. Like, wow, this is excellent fucking music. I just actually wished I liked it a little bit more in terms of preference.
True.
So, well, he said, well.
I was gonna just make a train robbery comment.
If you're gonna do that, you should try not to rob the moment. And anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that.
Let's run a train.
Started to shout. I threw her on her knees and made her freeze and put my dick inside her pretty mouth.
So we're like, let's say it's the 5th song. On the Run. All sorts of stories, for real. Live and Let Die, kind of little stories within verses, but still cohesive.
Yeah.
Crime Pays, more commentary, but still descriptive, story-like.
Yep.
Home Sweet Home, story-like in its descriptive nature.
Mm-hmm.
Train Robbery, absolutely another story.
Yep.
And I don't know how many rap albums we've covered where there's no ego tracks by now. Where's the ego track? There's none. It's
and
just
it is kind of a rare thing to have like story after story after story, like something so like clear and like beginning, middle, end kind of like. It's very like there's many songs on this album that you know I could do for a lyrical breakdown.
But it's also like normally guys will have like 1 or 2 songs like this on the project or like something like. I can't even think of a single example, but we've talked about them where like you'll get like doesn't Biggie have like this big old shootout at the end song? Like usually they'll have like 1 or 2 mixed in. I'm in a pure like story, you know, not just flossing and my life's dope type shit. And that's another thing is maybe he's done it on other projects, but this isn't really like, it doesn't feel like this is all about Kool G Rap. It feels more like Kool G Rap is painting you the picture of where Kool G Rap comes from. And he's just being really authentic in his journalistic approach to this hip-hop. Because, like, I mean, did he do these things? I don't know. Probably not, like, everything. That's not really the point. The way he described it, I did some stuff. I wrote about stuff I saw. Doesn't really matter. That's not the point. It's about the reality of it.
Yep.
He does say that in the DJ Vlad. So I'm like, okay. But like if you think about what Nas was doing, what a lot of guys are doing, it was just, I guess, built on this idea of just looking around at what you see and spitting it, really just breaking it down properly in that regard, you know? At least for Illmatic. But I don't know. Like, what do you think about this one?
Well, I mean, I'll just kind of go through like the story kind of quickly. So they're just sort of like in like the metro or like if you're not in Quebec, the subway.
The train.
Yeah, the train. And they decide to like rob people with guns, kind of like the old school like cowboys, like robbing a train, like that kind of thing. Like that's what it makes me think of. Like I don't think I've ever heard of like an actual like metro or subway being like robbed before, but I mean, I'm sure it's been done. So obviously, like, you know, he's kind of going after those people in like the train that look a little wealthier, that have a little bit more bling. He's taking like the Rolex watches. He's kind of, you know, taking advantage of those things. And then like at one point, like completely like randomly, it seems like there's like a girl like sucking his dick, and
Well,
like
he sees a very rich, attractive lady,
like
and she
it's
turns
kind of
him
like
off.
a rape
And
situation.
in the middle of the train ride, he's like, it's a good time to pop off a nut in her mouth as we're robbing the train, pulls her to
Yeah.
the side. And the way he describes it, it's like she's screaming, drops him down to his knees. He puts his dick in her mouth, he jizzes. Like,
Yeah.
there's not even like a real blowjob happening. It's just he's so in the moment. And
He's so like full of energy, I guess.
and sometimes things can be very exciting.
Built up.
And then in very exciting, high-risk moments, you might pop off a little sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in an elevator or some shit in public. And I wasn't talking about you, Bunny. Just things like that can happen. And
Okay.
so I just picture him like being caught up on this adrenaline rush. They're in the middle of this shit.
It didn't really feel like the girl gave
Oh
much
no,
consent.
there's no consent. It was just like, I have a gun. You should probably put that in your mouth.
Yeah.
And so she did, and then he just filled it up, and then he kept going
Yep, and then that was that.
back to robbing.
So, I mean, that's kind of in the middle of all this. He's just over there getting a blowjob quickly. Anyways, just kind of random. And then like the train like pulls in, and cops get on, and then like the cops and like them have like a shoot off, and he gets shot, but he's still alive and he's fine. And then like more cops are like coming after them, and like they're running away. And then they're running. It's just like, it just makes me think of Grand Theft Auto. Like, it just makes me think of like all of
They
that.
jump into the
And
car.
then, because
and
then they kicked out some girl from like her car out of her Jeep, and then he gets in, and the cops are chasing after them. And I think like, I don't know if the lady got shot or something.
they shoot up. Like 4 cops and 3 bystanders get
Yep.
clipped in this altercation.
Yeah, it's just like a bloody mess.
May I just interject?
You may.
I like when he says shit like, it's like a fucking adventure. Like, he's just so caught up in the moment. He
Yeah.
just wants you to show his excitement about how
He's
grandiose
like,
this
oh,
is.
guys, I'm going to tell you this story, this great story about this time that I robbed a train, and listen to this. And it just kind of like, he just gets like all excited in the moment again when he's just telling you the story.
I like how at the end he's like, but you can't fuck with the kid. My boys started thinking back on the train about all the shit we did, leaving folk in poverty. 3 black motherfuckers pulled off a great train robbery, took all those motherfuckers' ducat. But hey, what can I say? Life is a bitch, so fuck it.
Yeah.
And I like how part of this tale, and this is probably like the part I feel like you don't often get, is they successfully robbed this train,
Yep.
jack credit cards, hit some old guy.
Well, because the cop cars end up like crashing into each other,
Yeah.
I think, and then it explodes. And again, they like outsmart the cops, and they're free. And
But
like,
then-
this is like their life, and this
but
is what they
then-
gotta do.
You have the ethical question that gets brought up at the end, like, what do we just actually do? Mm-hmm. Like, what do we do? You know, I mean,
Like,
it
we
isn't,
left people in poverty. Like, this is people who are taking the train, and maybe like,
you know, like, I mean, I'm certain that they were targeting whoever and whatever, but I don't feel like you often get to the end of the rap song about the great robbery situation or the shoot up or the heist or the murder or whatever the fuck they're doing, and then have any semblance of, yo, what did we actually just do? And then having to quelch those feelings with, but life's a bitch, so fuck it. But the part
But it
where
also kind of makes me think of like Nas. Maybe he was listening to this, and like he's another like New Yorker, and like, you know, he's a little bit before him, and he said life's a bitch, and so maybe like he got this from him.
maybe, but I still think it's like interesting how part of the reality is feeling bad about what you did, which is again not something I feel gets really brought up a lot in these types of songs, and
Yeah.
really adds some credence to the whole situation. Like, that's part of, like, even if this is maybe something that you wanna like get involved with, just be aware this is a little something that you're gonna have to contend with.
Like, this is like what he has to do. Like, this isn't what he wants to be doing. This is what he has to do in order to survive. And I think that he's aware of that. And I think that that's kind of like there's like kind of like this dark cloud over every like thing that he's doing that sounds so fun and it seems so great. But there's a reason why he's doing a lot of these things, because there's no other choice for him.
And apparently there's a beat flip up. I'm not remembering it in this moment, but I wrote it down in my notes.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume that it was there and trust myself. But in general, the production on the album, it has been alive and not boring to listen to.
Yep.
There's apparently a music video. I watched a few of them. I did not watch this one's music video, so sorry about that, anyone. If it's good, let me know. I'll give it a little watch. If it's like the other ones, let me know. I gave this one a 4.35. And a bit of it is just the overall sound of the beat, not Kool G Rap's rapping or his story, because it is like, it's riveting in terms of you get so caught up into it, and you just picture, like the next time I'm in the subway, it's like you're gonna wonder, some guys, probably not because it's Montreal, but like you just kind of left to wonder, you know, like this could actually happen, and maybe it did happen a lot more back then, and even to that end, I don't think I've ever considered it before. Isn't this shit that actually was actually happening in Paris a lot lately, and like that was a concern of going to Paris?
Those are maybe like the real trains, because I don't think it was happening on like I don't think there is a subway
What's
system.
the difference between a real train and a
but
subway?
Like a real
really?
train is like one that like goes from like one place to another, and like in my mind, like a metro.
No, but it was
or,
it was the Paris subways that were like really dangerous. Anyway,
well, that could still be dangerous.
so it's just the idea of like actually having that visual of how something like this would go down. Although, where the fuck does he do the blowjob thing? That was what I was
It
wondering.
seemed like he was just doing it wherever. He was just in like the middle of the damn train, just getting a fucking blowjob in the middle of like with a gun up. And I don't. What is this guy doing? I don't know.
He's getting head while robbing the train. That is what he did.
I was like that poor girl.
Anyway, so I give it a 4.35 just because of the overall sound, but not because of the quality of the project.
Yeah, I mean overall, I was loving this. I like these great stories. I gave it a 4.5.
All right, so I did mention something about the lack of ego songs, and I think it's going to change as we talk about who the fuck is #1. #1? Is that a hash? No, it's number 1 with a bullet.
Stop that.
None of my name on that book. It's something more than everybody freezes. It's one more bitch nigga that.
So at the very beginning of the song, Beyonce goes, "It's so crazy right now, most incredibly, it's your girl B." Okay, no, that's the so Crazy in Love. Because the sample at the very beginning of this is the same sample used in Crazy in Love. So I thought I would be funny. I tried it in another podcast, and I was trying something new. Okay, maybe it sucks, but relax yourself, okay?
Okay.
This
There's a J-Lo Jenny from the Block like sample that's also included in this, but it obviously must be from something older than this.
Well, this one samples "Are You My Woman, Tell Me So" by the Child Lights. I don't know who that is, but it's they made that sample
I bet you they're from Chicago.
that I know from the Crazy in Love. But this song features somebody called Big Daddy Kane.
Yep.
Now, I've never heard Big Daddy Kane rap before. Just never, ever.
You weren't at that bonfire where he was singing a song for us. You weren't there?
No. But like
Weird.
in general, like most of the people I know I've heard of Big Daddy Kane. Many rap songs I like mention Big Daddy Kane.
Yep.
But I've never listened to him, so I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, this is faster. It is like maybe the fastest one we've come across so far.
Yeah.
What I like about Kool G Rap on this is he takes what he does at any speed, and he just changes his speed to match the beat. And something that I think is worth watching is tempo changes in the beat. In my opinion, the rapper that can have multiple tempos on the beat probably has a little bit more skill than the rapper. And it's a generalization here, it's not for everyone. But a lot of rappers will cling to a safe rhythm, and it'll be like the same BPM the whole album. Not Kool G Rap. He just goes right the fuck fast here. Like the last time I caught a body, it was recent. Give me a HK4 banana clips and I'll take it on a precinct. Yeah, the murder rate is on the rise with like me steady popping or dropping like flies. To get him up when I hit him up and I hit him hard, but there'll be no get well card. Straight to the motherfucking graveyard because me don't want to get undone. And so this whole song is kind of like he'll fucking kill you. And he's the best with a bullet. He's the number one. He's just ridiculously talented with it. And if you look at it from like the perspective of a gun, sure, he's a quick draw and he's rapping fast, and that's actually making sense. If you translate that into him being an MC, he's fucking quick.
I think it's kind of like a sure shot.
And then
like that's a good play on words.
And then I really like how in lieu of a chorus, they put like a really detailed little scratchy DJ break. And I thought that was really pleasant to listen to. Then Big Daddy Kane fucked me up. A one-man gang to bring the bang so the next can't even hang. Yang, gang, gang, gang. You know my style, I know my pedigree. I wonder how he feels about this line now, or if they give him trouble for it. You can ask Saddam Hussein about me. I'm never one to let, just because having
He's dead. What are they gonna do?
Yeah, but he wasn't dead back then.
Nope.
He became the enemy way later. I'll never let a brother bass. And if you bring on a crew, I hope the bitches saw Scarface. Here's the thing. I'm not even doing any of the flows justice. It's so tricky and it's so fucking out there and whatnot. But it's also got like this modern politics mixed into it. Like Saddam Hussein and George Bush were actually having their... this is right around the fucking Kuwait war with Iraq. I don't know.
This is like George W. No, George Senior, right?
Yeah, but it was like they were at war at that point with Kuwait and all that shit was going on, and it's just overall just powerful sounding. And I like the fact that he sounds informed while also just pointing out, like, in a sense in his life, he is powerful and he's fucking ridiculously good. And then, I gotta get my gats to your dome and I'm gonna pull it. I'm number motherfucking one with a bullet. I mean, straight up. He's just doing what he does. And then in the third verse, Kool G Rap comes back and kind of keeps it going. And I feel like this might be some of his more faster, trickier other type shit. But like especially when he's like, no popping me is stopping me. Even if you go look for me, I'm quicker to flicker. The trigger is the plan for me. You try to run me coming to kill your whole family. Because in the city, there's no pity or no sympathy. And he's just keeping it almost on like this triplet, tight little fucking condensed flows, and everything's just hitting it proper. And then with my fingers on the trigger, I'm terminating like, who, Schwarzenegger? Yeah, that guy. I just fucking liked it, man.
Yeah.
I really thought this song was excellent. This is the first song where I'm like, jaw dropped, like, holy shit, this is that shit. I gave this a 5 on 5. This is truly excellent. That beat is so fun to listen to. And I like this way more than Crazy in Love.
Yep. Well, yeah, I definitely agree. It's got a great beat. It's very hype. It's basically a song about like murdering and like all the that kind of fun stuff that they get up to. And Big Daddy Kane is like just as cool, like in terms of like the sound, as like Kool G Rap. And sometimes like when like there's like a feature or like a buddy comes on, it's not always like to the same level. So I mean, Big Daddy Kane is somebody that like I've heard of, and I feel like I've kind of come across him before, but I can't necessarily think of anything that he's sung, or maybe he just sings with people. Like, I don't really know.
No, he's pretty illustrious legend of rap type figure.
Then we need to check out his albums.
Yes, we should probably review one of his albums soon.
Yes. Anyways, it's basically like a hype song with like super fast rhymes and murderous type lyrics. So for me, it was another good one. You definitely like want to like dance like along to it and like clap your hands and like you just want to like move to it. Like, it was really good. Like, I gave this a 4.25, and even now like listening to it again, like I'm like, nah, it should be like a higher grade. So just imagine I gave it a higher grade.
All right. Be that as it may, sometimes you just want to smash and you're trying to do your thing, but it turns out there's a motherfucker doing the Operation CB up on your shit.
Yep.
Now chill, yo, he ain't coming back no more. I pull the pants back down and threw him on the floor. I'm trying to go.
Just in case you thought story time was over, it is not. But this one actually comes with a very important point to all the fine people out there, because this is a real condition that goes on in the world. It starts off with almost like a PSA. Every 11 minutes across the USA, and we're going to include Canada, because why is Canada never mentioned?
Yep.
And why is Canada always mentioned with like jokes? Anyway, a man is a victim of cock blocking. Oh, it's the fucking worst. This action usually results in broken friendships. The following is an example. As we know, Sir Jinx is involved in this production of this thing, so him and Mr. Kool G Rap are pretty tight. And Jinx is like, yo, and Jinx calls him, he's like, what's up? And Kool's like, I want to fuck this girl. He's like, all right, why are you telling me this? He's like, because I don't want to like you to feel weird when I ignore you to go fuck the girl. And he's like, it's okay, I'll do it. And the girl shows up, and he's just like, open up the door. What's up, baby? You'll come on in. Here, take a seat. I'll introduce you to my friend. Now, everything is going according to plan. Yo, Jinx, this is Debbie. Debbie, this is Jinx, my man. And then you hear, what's up, baby? And it's like Jinx chimes in. I went to the closet, hung up her coat, put up her hat. Yo, Jinx, what's up? Later, I'm going to the back. And he's getting around, and he starts describing, like, the unzipping his pants. Everything's getting ready. He's going to fuck her some doggy style. He's just picturing
That's what he's imagining, yeah.
He's feeling her ass. It's so soft. You know, let's get ready, getting into it. And then, in case you couldn't hear it, I knocked. Who the fuck is at my door? And now she's annoyed. And then Jinx is like, yo, I'm thirsty. I want to get some water. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he's like, I'm thirsty too. Get it? I'm making a little joke.
Yeah.
And then he's like, go get your water or whatever. He looks back. Now, every man.
He's like, oh, sorry.
Every man knows that the difference between a girl who's going to let you have sex with them and her changing her mind, it's really easy to get her to a place where she's changed her mind, and let's say the switch has been flicked to off. And once that switch goes to off, getting it back to on, as you'll see, you might have like a chance to get her back there. She thinks this shit. She's like, I've chosen now to be no, I don't want to do it no more. You ruined my vibe. I had a fantasy, it's done. And then he's like, no. And the whole second verse, like, okay, we're going to get back to it. Get the fuck away, dude. You know, we're going to be smashing. And she's
but he's like so cute. Like in the song, he's like, oh, sorry about that. My bad. Like,
and it's like, the whole point is the girl's like, I don't want to fuck you if he's just going to keep interrupting us. Understandable. And then that is a fair reason, by the way, to flick your switch. No, I'm not saying that it's not a fair reason. I'm just saying you know how easy it is to get that momentum broken and getting her to think about why it's a bad idea. And that's what he's done here, Mr. Jinx. He's gotten her to think about why it's a bad idea to fuck this guy, Mr. Kool. And then Mr. Kool, the genius of rap, proceeds to go in for it a second time. And then as he's about to get it in, like right before the knocking happens, because this, like, Jinx is cock blocking. And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. And then he just wanted more water or whatever.
He wanted ice for the water.
Yeah, it was just fucking nothing. And then she's just out. She's just gone. She's like fucking done. So he's not done. He's got a contingency plan up on this one.
Yep.
So he's thinking of a bitch that could be hitting for no salary, as in he doesn't want to have to spend some money to sleep with that girl. So he calls Valerie. It's always fucking Valerie. Found out the bitch was babysitting. The baby's parents went to Europe, and now I could see her now, sucking my dick, licking my nut like it was maple syrup. That's a good use of Canadian culture. Thank you. I really appreciated that, because I had made the earlier comment about...
Yep.
Anyway, so she's all over. He comes around, and he's all ready to get into that shit. But then the monster appears.
Yeah.
This little boy putting 50 motherfucking toys at my feet, smashing up my ankles with Tonga Jeeps. All that shit. So he's like, here, you want to play? Gives her
It's like a funny situation. Like, as you're listening to, like, this story, it's like, it's comical. You're laughing, like, kind
because
of
he's just trying to get laid and his kid's around. And then it's like, finally, he's like, okay, can we go to the back room? And they go in, and he starts trying to get into it. She's down on her knees. She's sucking and sucking and sucking on my cock. Bust that nut. That's what he's hoping. But then all of a sudden, the door comes in, and the child's crying and whatever. So he gets frustrated, and he wanted to beat the kid. You can't do that because you're trying to get your nut on. You can't beat a kid. Yeah. So instead, he fucking breaks the Ninja Turtle doll, and then the mom gets pissed, and then she disappears for 45 minutes to deal with this kid.
Well, not the mom, the girl that's babysitting.
Yeah. She gets all pissed, and then, you know, she goes to deal with the toy and the kid, and 45 minutes later, he's just, you know what? Fuck that. I'm done.
Yeah, so he leaves.
Fuck that kid for cock blocking. And then the whole outro is just like everybody fucking cock blocking. Everybody, even Eric B's cock blocking and shit. And I'm like, this song is great. If nothing else, Mr. DJ Black Hurricane, thank you for letting me talk about this with Bunny. Anyway, 4.5 on 5. This song was hilarious. It was fucking well done. Yep. It was really, and it is a real PSA. Look, like, there's supposed to be some kind of a code of you're supposed to let your bro or lady bro.
Lady bro?
It just rhymes better.
You can just say lady.
But she's about to get smashed, so it's a weird term.
Like, I'm like, you know, like, I'm like your bro Bonnie. I'm like your lady Bonnie. Like it's like that. It's like it's gangster. I know. It really is super hard.
All right, so the lady's about to get smashed, and she doesn't want her friends being jealous and getting in the way of the dick.
Yep.
In the same way, the dick provider, or if you're into homosexuality, just put in your right pronouns here. This applies to everybody. Just don't cock block. Let the people get their knocks rocked. I don't know if that works. Anyway,
It's
love
something. Anyways, yeah, I mean that's pretty much the gist of the whole story. Like it's very funny. It's very like relatable. I feel like this is a common story for like a lot of guys, a lot of people, how they, they try. And like even like Jinx, like in this story, like he doesn't try to be like a cock blocker. He doesn't try to like do this on purpose. Like he just wants water. Like that's what he's focused on. He just wants what he needs, and he's not trying to like get in the way or anything, but he just needs to get through. But yeah, and like the kid, obviously, like the kid's not trying to like stop this from happening, but
Jinx is the worst, though. Let's be clear. The kid we can forgive because he's a kid. Fine. Fuck Jinx in this song.
Well, yeah. Anyways, it's funny. I also gave it a 4.5. I'll just say that. Let's
Allow me to be respectful. Fuck Sir Jinx in this song.
Okay. All right.
All right. Bonnie's like, moving on. It wasn't funny the first time. Straight jacket is what I need living with this one.
Yep.
Trying to relax around some water and the talk. Visit somebody's water.
So remember how I was like describing like how he changes the tempo like beat to beat, and I was like, that's really cool, and it really is cool, don't even get me wrong, but this one is like the opposite of going faster than the normal. This one is like the slowed the fuck down version of it. This one was produced by the Trackmasters, and over on Genius there's like a whole thing of them describing how they had this beat for like fucking ever, and they would play it for all sorts of people, and basically only Kool G Rap was worthy for this beat, but he just whipped out the lyrics out of fucking nowhere and just like rapped it over. And then for fun facts, I learned that Trackmasters is the people who basically put out Illmatic a year later, but Jay-Z wanted them to work on the Mary J. Blige project. I'm hoping it was Jay-Z. Or maybe it had been somebody else. And they kind of passed on that, and it ended up being like this. So I thought it was just super interesting that, like, if you go look at their shit, this is one of their, like, earlier credits and whatnot. So I Googled that, and then I shared it with you. And hopefully I got it right, or I'll get that correction comment.
Yep.
What do you think about this song?
Well, it, like, he kind of gets, like, some, like, creepy feelings, and like he's trying to like kill himself, sort of like he's sort of feeling a little bit off. Like it's very like different song from anything that we've heard before. He has like weird visions. He feels kind of crazy. He feels like a little like out of control, and he feels like he needs like a straitjacket to like so that he doesn't hurt himself, because he's just kind of like a crazy guy. And then like he kind of talks about like a lady picked him up when he was like hitchhiking, and like he saw like right away, or he knew right away it was like a bad move on her part, because like an hour later he talks about like that there's a body just laying in the woods or whatever, so obviously he killed this woman. And then he just kind of like does whatever. He just kind of like walks away. And then he talks about, like I guess later on in the song, he kind of talks about a kid at school that I guess was like picking on him. And then he just kind of like stabs him. And it definitely feels like he's got like two sides to him. That's kind of like what he's expressing. So I'm wondering like if at like this is 1992, like I don't know like where like mental illnesses were at.
It's not even good in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, so I can imagine it was probably much worse back then. So I imagine maybe he's like bipolar, or he has like he's feeling like he's he's doing things that aren't necessarily good, and he's obviously struggling with that kind of maybe like depression, feeling crazy, like feeling out of control, like maybe he's got like ADD or something like that. Like I don't know what it is, but he's got something. And I feel like it was like pretty very progressive, I guess, essentially for like the time. I would say it's like very violent, and kind of like it seems sort of also like this like the beginning of like horrorcore. Like we're kind of just getting more of like that kind of like theme of things, of just like exaggerated violence and just like kind of acting out like your sort of your Hyde side of things, like your Mr. Jekyll and your Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of things. So it is sort of just like you're fantasizing, but like your crazy fantasies and like just kind of all of that. So for me, it was like a 4 on 5. It wasn't like my favorite song, but it was still like a good song, and I appreciated like everything that it was and like sort of his like inner struggles.
Yeah, I mean, it's called Straight Track It, and I mean, the gist of the song is I'm crazy, and these are the feelings and shit that's going on. Mm-hmm. But I think what's super interesting is while your verses are selling some shit that kind of reminds me of Isham or, Gangsta Nip or, the kind of other stuff DJ Black Hurricane has in fact requested from us.
Yeah.
But that kind of paranoia side of shit, like help me doctor because I'm seeing lots of spots, I'm thinking of pink elephants with little polka dots, I'm tired, crazy tired, but I cannot get no sleep, because every time I close my eyes I think I'm 6 feet deep. And I learned that the fear of dying, because if you're afraid of going to sleep because of dying, is actually known as thanatophobia. There's a fear of dying like that. And it's just kind of like he's crazy, he's sleep deprived.
I feel like I'd be happy
he's
to
like
die in my sleep.
And you hallucinate when you're sleep deprived, so it really kind of builds onto that like first lines.
Yep.
And it just kind of goes in like, I thought I fell asleep at work, but when I awoke I was all alone, and my own hands on my throat, clippings from the newspapers of murders, my library. Sometimes I get the urge to walk inside a cemetery. And he does say cemetery to rhyme with library or whatever, like he makes it work. And he just kind of fills it out. I think I'm going crazy, doc. No longer can I hack it. Please, doctor, please put me in a straitjacket. So, you got this craziness. But then what do you have on that chorus? Ghetto style. Talk that shit. So it's almost like having to live in that ghetto environment, that hood situation. It creates this like PTSD, like schizophrenic kind of back and forth situation. And so that little hook is just like a clue to like unlock the whole purpose of what the song's trying to do. It's not just that he's crazy, it's he gets all his crazy thoughts in this like fucking situation where like, a lady picked me up hitchhiking, what a big mistake. Several hours later there's a body by the lake. I mean, it is like he's acting out and it's vicious and it is kind of horror like, but I think what it's trying to the purpose of it is like to convey that if they didn't have to be in that environment, this wouldn't be the fantasies that are coming through your mind in that moment. You wouldn't have to deal with that level of mental illness and shit. I do like when he goes, I got 2 personalities inside. Sometimes they battle. When I look at my picture, all I see is scribble scrabble. I feel I'm really losing it. I need to write to Abby. I'm like, oh yeah, dear Abby from the newspapers that would answer your questions and shit. I know in Montreal we used to have a free newspaper called The Mirror. And in that newspaper, there was a Dear Abby like sex columnist, and I would read the shit out of that as a teenager. Anyway, I like what this song is. I think it's cool. I don't like the speed of it. It's a little bit too slow for my likings in general. But from like respecting the versatility of seeing how he can do it fast, he can do it medium, he can do it slow, he keeps it consistent. This really fits the project, even if my preference is only landing it at a 4.25. Like, it's a really great song. I just like it less than the other really great songs on this project.
Yep.
And I guess maybe that's the case of the Ill Street Blues.
Plus I got the Ill Street Blues. You lose. Plus I got the Ill Street Blues.
So while the Trackmasters did prefer do the Straight Jacket song, the whole story I told actually applies to Ill Street Blues, and so sorry about fucking that up. Anyway, this one, the term Ill Street Blues is kind of a reference to a television series called Hill Street Blues, which was a popular police drama I've never fucking heard of.
Not that popular.
Anyway, so you can see how Ill Street Blues is kind of playing up on that a little bit. I guess if you understood the reference because you were, I guess, old enough to know what the fuck that show is. I've never heard of it. I've never even heard my parents talk about it or anything.
Maybe it's like only like the States or like even in, I don't know. Is it like localized shows like that? Maybe
I don't
like
know.
per state?
Maybe. But yeah, it comes in and I feel like I don't know that there's a whole lot new that I feel like it was brought to the table on this one. This is the first time on the album I felt like I don't know if there's a lot new here.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change
Same sort of
anything
story.
because it's really well done. Like, I mean, right off the jump, I'm right in front of my steps, thinking of a plan, looking like Raggedy Ann, no dough in hand, kicking a can. And I did watch the music video to this one. And I want to give them a lot of credit because the scenes that play out in the music video, in this, like, you know, where the Cadillac pulls up and then they have to basically go rob and kill Jimmy the bartender and shit. You even see Jimmy the bartender do a line of blow in the music video. Like, that's how, like, it actually follows suit with what the song is saying. And so I have to give them serious credit for making a music video that fucking makes sense with this song.
Yep.
Because that is the rarest shit in fucking music, not just hip-hop. All music. Just the music videos are garbage. They're just promotional nonsense for the most part. But this was a clever and fun video for all terms and purposes. So yeah, in the first verse, they're just sitting there chilling, and then all of a sudden a Cadillac pulls up and they ditch the girl and they go inside and they basically have to kill Jimmy the bartender, and like, it's just a gain. The rapping tells the story. Everything's tight. They want us to send a message to Jimmy the bartender. Lend a friend the money next to you ripping off his car fenders. So if you don't pay him back, you're going to have some fucking problems. He's coming up short because he snorts. Coke, dope, nope, and hope he don't get caught. How dope is that line?
It was very
Coke, dope, you know, drugs. Nope, don't do that. I hope you don't get caught. So, you know, he's taking the whole situation like he's hiding it, hoping that nobody's going to notice. He's a little bit light, but he owes some money. They're going to get him, and then they basically sneak in and they fucking kill him. And then, I don't know. I don't remember if the second verse really just kind of has the same level of, like, narrative that went into it. I feel like it's a little more generalized. He's just going to take out whoever the fuck he needs to take out. I like when he goes, yeah, I shake a schmuck just to make a buck. Then I break a duck, and if the duck got to get bucked, then I don't give a fuck. Hyper as a sniper, piping like a plumber, cold vicking and sticking up the ones that run the numbers. And, like, you just hear the flow. You just hear, like, the overall rhythm, the way he uses the words and hits the syllables and shit. And I'm just like, this is really fucking good. This is the shit that all of my favorite rappers was listening to. Like, you can just hear it in, like, all the shit that I love. Like, I can hear where it's coming from in this. And, like, it's just fast-paced. It's upbeat. Like, this is, like, it blows my mind that this is, like, 1992 for real, you know? Anyway, third verse kind of flows them through. I believe something's actually happening in this one, but I'm really not sure what it is. But I do really like the song. I think he kills a cop or something. But either way, that's fine. I gave this one another 4.5 because it's really fun to listen to. It's really engaging. The beat is really thick and rich. I don't know. I like it.
Okay, so I'll tell you what actually happens.
Oh, so I fucked up?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bad at this?
Yeah, you're terrible at this. No.
Does he not kill Jimmy the bartender?
He does have to kill Jimmy the bartender. He does do that. That's actually correct.
And then I said I didn't know what happened in the second verse.
It's a mob hit. And so he gets him and shoots him and then stabs him in the head because he wants to, like, make sure that he's dead. And this is what you get for screwing with the mob. And, like, I also just want to say it's a really nice beat. It's a very cool sounding song. It's very, like, old school kind of sounding. I like it a lot. And then I think kind of just at the end of it, like, it is sort of just like the mob hits and, like, whatever. The mob boss, I think, screwed them over, so they killed him, and then, like, they threw him out of, like, a skyscraper or something, and, like, that's kind of what you get if you screw over, like, you know, it kind of showed you, like, this is what you get if you screw over the mob, but this is when, like, what you get if the mob screws over, like, him and his crew. Like, you know, if you screw them over, like, they'll get you right back. So it's like a, you know, dog-eat-dog world. Live and let die, you know? And so, again, it's for me, like, it was another, like, decent story. I appreciated that, and it is sort of like a, kind of like a revenge kind of, it seems like a revenge story, and it seems, true. Like, I mean, this is probably, like, how a lot of people live. So I give this a 4.25.
All right, so the next one gets in with the gunplay as we talk about go for your guns.
All right.
Step up and play me like I'm soft. Bitch, I don't knock motherfuckers out. I'm knocking motherfuckers off. Leaving
I think when he goes, all those those are real shots on motherfucking track 7. He's referring to in the mix track 7 for this song with those guns that you hear at the very beginning, because that seems to be the more likely thing than him. But it could be, if we do take a look at track 7, number 1 with a bullet. There were some gun sounds. Maybe those gun sounds are real. Maybe what he's trying to say is the gun sounds he uses are actual bullets being fired from motherfucking guns. Anyway, how do you feel about this song so I don't mess it up?
I mean, so basically, the police are trying to like escort them out of a car, I think, and they're just kind of like being told to like keep their hands up, and you know, I think the cop's talking about that he's going to beat you, and then he like aspires to be more like a mob boss, like that's kind of like what he wants to do, and like how like hard they are, and he just wants to be hard like them, and he wants to like knock you out, or he's going to shoot you or whatever if like you stop him or get in his way. And he keeps talking about how he's going to beat these people even if they're good at martial arts. And it's like, okay, like, fine.
Well, I think the point is, if I may,
You may.
that when push comes to shove, he's going to go for a gun. And a gun is an effective fucking tool.
Yeah.
We get a clue for this in the very first lines. In the street that I dislike, you better get this right. These days, what the fuck is a fist fight? So, I mean, there was a period of time where being able to literally fist fight was how shit was resolved. At this point in time, he's trying to go, nah, I prefer to lick shots so they can put the ass in the box. So I want to kill you. So he's bringing up shit like doing all that rope-a-dope shit. Nope, you're dopey ass murdered. It'll be that Karate Kid, but I'll be in prison doing a motherfucking body bid. So as he's putting out there, and it's fucking great. It's fucking harsh, you know, like the fact that we're 11 tracks in and it still sounds fresh, his harshness, that's pretty good. But it's like saying, that's cool that you can do all this shit, that you can come fly at me like Bruce Lee and shit. Well, maybe Bruce Lee's fast enough to kill you or to kick a gun into your hand. But unless you're Bruce Lee, like for the most part, like Sylvester Stallone ain't got shit against Al Capone. The dude with the gun is going to knock out the
everybody
boxer.
knows stop or his mom will shoot. That's Sylvester Stallone.
But like it's just more to the what I'm trying to just say is that people with a gun will kill you faster and more efficiently, so it doesn't fucking matter what the rest of it is. And then I think he's just like overall it's like just an homage to his love for how effective his fucking gun. Like, you punk ass better hop or chill because my Glock can kill 20 motherfuckers with boxer skills. So it's like you can be all cool and shit, you can be tough, but I'll fucking just kill you. The murder scene needs more than Visine to get the red out. For all of you who know what Visine is used for, you'll get why that's a really great line. It's because when you smoke marijuana, your eyes get red, and Visine is the eye drops.
I feel like everybody knows that.
You know what? There might be like the 1 or 2 people watching this that will appreciate that shit, okay?
Okay.
Because maybe their eye drops aren't Visine. Like, maybe Visine isn't the brand in, like, Germany or some shit. I don't know. And he doesn't care if you know judo, and anyway. And then, yeah, I really appreciated just his ode to guns on this, but mostly I was just into the way he was rhyming it. Like, I'll be honest with you, as far as what he's talking about, it is 3 verses of wit and pun describing how your ability to fight physically is useless against his ability to put lead inside of you. That is this song. And let's be real, he's got a point. I mean, we don't really, if you're in an environment where, like, we already know honor doesn't exist, all sorts of crack fiends and shit are in the hood trying to, like, do all sorts of stuff. Like, literally, a dude might try to kill you because he's trying to get a fix. Well, maybe wasting time fighting isn't the most efficient use of shit when, well, all you need is this gun. And I guess that's really, like, his point of it. Good or bad, it does add a perspective as to maybe why so many people embrace guns, right? Because it's super easy to criticize guns, but, like, I'm not a fighter. Like, I don't know how to fight, but when I was in cadets, I learned to shoot pretty straight with a rifle. I mean, that's a skill I have. I'm not the best marksman, but I can definitely hit somebody with a gun, maybe a rifle. I've never used a handgun. Fuck, if anyone like the cops or whatever are watching this, it's just describing a situation.
Like, they understand that kids and cadets
or you two
shot a gun.
But like in general, it's like, I mean, when I think about the gun safety conversation, just in general, I mean, I'm very split. I don't know if getting rid of guns is the best idea if the environment requires a need for guns.
Well, I grew up in a house full, like, not, I was gonna say full of guns, but not full of guns, but like there were plenty of guns, but they were used and they were like properly stored, and I knew never to touch them. I knew never to play with the bullets.
In Canada, you're supposed to have like your guns in safe 1, your bullets in safe 2, in current gun laws.
Is that not everywhere? I feel like that's how it should be everywhere. Like have your gun and your bullets separate,
but
locked up.
Let's say you're using your gun for safety. That's a fucking inefficient way to use your gun for safety. Like, honestly, I don't know how laws work in the States where home storage and shit, but like, to me it seems weird to have a gun for safety if you have to keep it locked in a safe. That just is a weird one for me. But like, all I'm trying to say is I can't fight for shit. Look at me. Do I look like I'm tough? No, I can't fight for shit. But like, if I had a gun, I could survive in an environment where maybe other people can fight for shit. Maybe I would still get the shit kicked out of me. But at least if you have a gun, it's like you have a fighting chance. So I thought this was like a super interesting track from that perspective. Because how often do you hear that defense for guns, right?
Yeah.
Or how often do you even hear anybody just trying to explain why guns are cool? Because a lot of us maybe can't fight, quite like the guys who can fight. So if you can fight, sure. Maybe you don't feel the need for a gun because you can protect yourself. But you can't protect yourself against a bullet. So having a gun, at least it gives you an option if a dude pulls a gun on you. Like, you both have a gun, you're equal. At least you can fight back. It's a ranged weapon, right? So you can fight from a distance. Like, it's just in general. I mean, maybe I'm just going too far with this.
Well, I think that's kind of the reason why people like guns and like enjoy like the protection of guns is that, a 5-year-old can kill someone and a 100-year-old person can kill someone, and everybody has this saying, if you just have to press one button and pull one trigger and like that's it. It's that simple. So anybody can do it.
I'm like, I don't know if we should ban guns, but banning guns arbitrarily, like, I think Chicago just banned guns legally, but then, like, you can't keep the guns out of a place like that, like, even if the whole state of Illinois bans guns, well, there's no, like,
all the other states all around,
like, there's no border checks. It's fucking whack. Like, so, like, obviously it doesn't work, but, like, anyway, it's a complicated subject. But my constitution does not give me a right to bear arms. You know what's crazy about the Second Amendment? When you read it, its initial purpose was to avoid the need for an army, like the U.S. Army. It was supposed to be that the citizens could be militiaed up and like go fight if there was a reason to go fight, but then there wouldn't be like a standing army. That's why citizens have the right to bear arms. And so now it's like citizens have the right to bear arms, sure. But then they ignored that part, and then they made all the rules and stuff. And really, the way that the law is manifested today is not the same thing in the spirit of the Constitution, and that's just something we're talking about. So still, lots of stuff to talk about guns in general. I like this song, though. I gave it a 4.5. It was really raw.
Yeah. I gave it a 4 on 5. I thought it was an all right song.
All right, so it's the K to the double O L G R A P. Anyway, it's letters.
They made a Fresno. Listen and learn and turn on your tuners. If you loonies try to do me some break, bang, zoom like.
So I have no idea what the fuck this song is about in any like actual, like, if this song has a purpose.
Yep.
I really don't know. I know that it's like one of those more upbeat songs. I know that it has the little K to the double O, the L, the G, R, A, P letters, and then he comes in and he just fucking raps, Rougher than Gotti in tone, got a body harder than Flintstone, your girl got her skin's bone, I'm digging her down like my skin tone. I guess it's ego. This is another ego-ish track. Overall, like he just raps his ass off on this one, and it's one of the faster ones. Like I really enjoy shit like when I hear stuff like I don't want singers but finger snappers, the speaker slapper, the weaker the rapper, the dapper rappers when I flap my trapper, got that scaz by Amoco. Oof. It's just like it's fun because he's able to take so many similar sounds and craft line after line after line with them, do it at a very fast pace and make it dope while simultaneously just saying, oh, fuck those weak guys, I'm better. And it's pretty dope. You want to pull cards? You're a dead dick. Bad check. Lead from my tech. Come up and step up and get your head wrecked. Wait a sec. You come in to see what's left. I gotta catch my breath. Rap. And it's fucking good. It's like he's one of those guys that when he raps about being fucking fantastic and better than other rappers, well, let me tell you, he's better than other rappers. Like it's just facts. And it's like you also have to keep in mind the history value of like a guy like a Kool G Rap, right? It's one thing for like me to rap fast in 2019. I've had like everybody and anybody for 30 years showing me so many tricks in the game that I just can study shit and go learn some Tech 9 songs. Of course you can rap fast. But then you have this guy who's almost like pushing forward that whole boundary of what rapping quickly and what this style of flow really is. And so as much as like maybe some other people later on could do things quicker or more stylized or whatever, this in 92 is blowing my fucking mind on how actually cool the lyricism really is. I pop bad cops, got a pig a day habit, bing, 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 just like the ricochet rabbit. And I don't know if I've done it, if all of them have been brought up before, if we skipped them, but I love the way he'll like just kind of like add in little ad libs or little fucking sounds that instead of actually words that hit the flow.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't sound lazy. It doesn't sound like he can't rhyme. It just sounds like he's being super theatrical with it. Like his lyrical skills give him the Pillsbury Doughboy. Like in the way he just plays it up like that. It sounds like he's getting pills and you're like, wait, is that about drugs? No, he's talking about great shit. I mean, I like Pillsbury Doughboy. It's delicious cookies, even if they're probably real bad for you. Immediately after Pillsbury Doughboy back, I'm packing him up like Jack the Ripper. Is Pillsbury Doughboy like a money reference? I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know.
You're making dough.
Okay, fair enough. Some pallet, you'll pull up the zipper, finger pointed, the better, the batter, the flipper, you're out. Anyway, it's just fucking fun to go through. That's BOLOGNA instead of just saying baloney. He spells it the fuck out.
Because it is like a weirdly spelt. It weirdly
really
spelt
is.
from how it's said.
And then so come and swing wild, mild child and get your style hurt. Hey, hey, hey. Should I say is fatter than Albert? And I'm just like, this is fucking great. Like as you really go through it, it's just fucking fun.
Yep.
The beat, I'm okay. It's a good beat.
Oh.
Not one of my favorite beats on this project, but it's still a good one. I love the rhyming. I give it a 4.35. Enjoyable track.
Yeah, I also found this was very enjoyable. I liked it a lot. Although I did find like, because I thought the beat was like super funky, I thought like the mixing was really cool on this one. I just thought like the overall beat was like really, really cool. Like I would definitely listen to this one again. I think this is just him like flossing with his rhymes. I think that's all it is that he's really doing. And I think that he's just kind of saying like he's the best rapper, and then he just kind of is showing you that he is. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Like it's just like a cool sounding song. I give it a 4.25.
All right, well, enough said about that one.
Take me. It ain't a man in the land that can stand G-rap, drink that candy rap, shit for.
So I feel like this one, again, I don't know if this particular song is actually about like a subject or a story or something. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's the last song, but faster and
more
even
aggressive.
Cooler. Like, here's the motherfucking magnificent, I leave him bag innocent motherfuckers. See suckers like there when see suckers like there was 10 cents. So if you come my way, great, I'll pull out the tray. Hey, Kool G Raps, your fate and not your playmate. See all you on the floor bitching that shit is dead. Tell it to the motherfucking mortician. And it just fucking flows, and it's just hard hitting. And like, every line is like a little punch to your face and like bounced around and shit.
Yep.
The beat is kind of upbeat and kicking it. It's just really like, I don't know what else to really comment on it. There's certain lines that like I feel like stand up to me, like fucking with me, y'all'd rather fuck with the AIDS virus, which is clever because of the intercourse is how AIDS is spread.
And also it's like very like relevant to the times. Like, I mean, that's when like AIDS was like booming, unfortunately.
But and I feel like there's a lot of references that I'm not 100% sure of, like, and put to sleep longer than Rip Van Winkle. And I know
Rip
because
Van Winkle goes to sleep for 100 years. I know that because of Wishbone. Thank you very much.
Wishbone is great. If you guys don't know what Wishbone
I feel
is,
like people at least in the States will know what Wishbone is if you are like
you should
older
show your
than
kids Wishbone.
25,
It's hella
30?
good.
I don't know. It's a great show.
I understand that Liberace's dick line is because Liberace may have been gay.
Oh, he may have definitely been gay.
Is because Eminem said, that's a Versace or whatever, Liberace. Whoops, somebody shot me. Maybe that's Versace. Was Versace also
was
gay?
shot.
Whoops, I fucked that up. Either way, I'm pretty sure it was still Eminem that taught me Liberace was gay. Because...
He's gay.
Anyway, good luck, another hood bucked. I kick you so far up your ass, I get my motherfucking foot stuck. And then I just pictured his foot up the anus of a motherfucker and that poop got on his shoe. And I bet that must have pissed him off even more, right? Because, like, I understand how bad it is to get your shoe scuffed, right? And so imagine he has the freshest kicks on and this motherfucker requires a whooping. And his foot gets stuck up the ass and
It
poop
just makes me
gets
think
on
of
the
Red
shoe.
from that 70s show.
Anyway, my rap is so fat I make sales in fucking whale blubber. These are great lines,
Yeah.
right? You better duck. I'm like a volcano when I erupt. You bitch-ass rappers will get fucked and you'll be one hoe like Marilyn Monroe. Left on death row because I let the gun go. And that...
Blow your motherfucking brains out.
But do you guys get how clever that line is? Because he fucks JFK, and the rumor is that she was killed for fucking him as a way to silence it, and she was murdered because she did that fucking happy birthday shit and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that line is really fucking clever if you understand why it's dope. And I feel like I don't get a lot of the lines on this album over cultural understandings and just also age, because I am like, you know, I was what, 5 when this came out? 4 maybe? Still, it's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
I still feel the same way I felt about the last one. Like his like story time songs, I feel like really get me more than this. But it also might be I've heard songs kind of I find it more impressive when he's doing the crazy rap flair thing and he's like story timing than when he's flexing. I guess that's what I'm trying to convey. So I gave this one another 4.35. But damn, it's fucking impressive. It's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. Like, I definitely think it's, you know, kind of like a continuation of the previous song, but just like a harder, like more aggressive, like with their lyrics and everything else. And it's more like this is like him battling it out with you. Like he's going to destroy you in any battles because he's got these sick rhymes, and this is what he's going to do. He's going to kill you like this. He's going to destroy you like that, and da-da-da. He's just kind of like knocking down his opponent. He's just like battling it out. And just kind of like describes like all the ways that this person sucks and isn't very good. And it is kind of like it ends very like jazzy, like the song. And I wrote down the same lyrics you already discussed. So yeah, I mean he's the best, and Nuff Said. That's all he has to say. So I also gave it a 4.25.
All right. Well, we're finally getting to the song where he talks about not wanting to be a janitor as he pushes the edge of sanity.
I know, sitting in a fucking precinct for trying to feed a family.
You gotta appreciate his real consideration here. He's feeling like committing murder over the stress and shit. Mm-hmm. And his girl is possibly the source of this stress, but he really doesn't want to hurt her. And that's considerate and pretty kind of him. I mean, I don't know. That's how I just wanted to run with that. But like this verse is really interesting to me. One of the comments on Genius goes, one of the first horrorcore songs ever recorded, with Kool G Rap slowly goes flying off the rails, driven crazy by society. Is this horrorcore? Did you feel this was horrorcore?
I mean, like, I suppose it is, because it is sort of him like fantasizing about these like violent things, and then like we're kind of taken to his fantasies. Like he's imagining these are all the things that he's going to be doing, and this is all the violent things that he's going to do and how he's going to do it. So I guess so.
But I mean, like, this one to me felt very political in this story that he, like, paints out, right? So, I mean, look at what happens. The girl wants him to get a job because, frankly, she's...
Okay, can I say something before you carry on? The girl is his mother.
Oh, is it?
Yes, because the mom is complaining about him being lazy and that he needs to get a job.
I took it like it's his girlfriend, which is because she's going to work and she's going to school at some point. He says she's
I heard
going
it was
to school.
his mom. That's what I was understanding.
I mean, I just remember because, like, anyway, I was pretty sure that she is going to class. She goes to class at days and
right.
works at night. My
thought
girl pays the rent, gas, and light, going to class at days and works at night. I'm trying to get some money so I can hand it to her, but I ain't with being a motherfucking janitor. So I picture her, like, he's just sitting there being a lazy fucker on the couch. I do picture a blunt in my little version of this.
Mm-hmm.
He's also playing...
Video game.
SNES. It would be maybe... No, is it NES or SNES? So he's there in the very early days. He's playing some Super Mario Bros. And she's just mad at him because she's literally doing an 80-hour week because he's not working. But he's pointing out, like, but I don't want to do it.
He also can't do it because he has a criminal record.
Right.
He can't get
And he's black. So he's saying no matter where I go, it's like these jobs wanted signs don't apply to me because I've got a double whammy against me and everything's just kind of fucked up. Mm-hmm. So as he goes out and he realizes he's got this kid, okay, so I have to deal with the situation.
He's just trying to be a good father.
And then he grabs his gun and he runs out and he goes to rob a 7-Eleven, but they call the cops and they basically put him, you know... They arrest him and shit. The next thing I know, I'm sitting in a fucking precinct for trying to feed a family. I need rubber walls because I'm falling off the edge of sanity. And so it's like he's losing his mind because it's like he felt so desperate he had to go rob the place and now he's fucking locked up.
Yep.
Then he, in the second verse, wakes up and he's mad because the cops, like, put the handcuffs on him tight so he's not feeling well. And he's just kind of sitting there hoping to get in front of the judge and plead his case, this whole sob story, and get out. But then he's like, not guilty, motherfucker, which pissed everybody off.
He pissed off the judge.
Which got him sent up to the Rikers Island, I believe is what he says about Island. And then... what really struck me is when they got all of these young brothers wild in, and all I seen was teenagers and brothers just slicing one another with straight razors. I saw this. He was stone tall. Yo, I got to make this motherfucking phone call. He said, yo, these whores are mine and you ain't with it. And then he put his face in mine so he hits it. So he just wants to make a phone call, you know, call his girl or whatever, like make sure everything's proper. Explain what's going on even because he's got a fucking kid and shit. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, it's just all these little teenage gang kids and all sorts of violence. But the fact that they're all teenagers, it's like it's just full of young dudes and shit.
Yep.
And then he ends up punching this guy in the face and getting put back in general population, and then finally gets to call, and the girl's yelling at him and shit, and it's like on top of everything, just the edge of sanity. So now he's doing a 3 to 9 bid and whatever. I don't really know what a 3 to 9 is.
3 to 9 years, I believe.
Okay, but I mean, I guess it's 9 years, but you can get out at 3 with probation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's going crazy, etc. Then he calls because his son's growing older, and then when he calls, his son mistakes it for like another guy, and so he realizes that he's fucking his friend. So then he gets out of jail and he kind of busts in, and he's like,
"Yep,
Buster ass stuttering, what's up?" My bitch scared because she knew I was steaming. She ran in her ass to the back and started screaming. One shot fired to the body. Pop, pop to the head. Pop. Put the barrel on his mouth, making sure he's dead. And the police ain't counting me inside a cell because I just fell off the edge of sanity.
Yep.
And so this time he's going to use that insanity plea to, like, get out of it. And I guess there's a bit of a horror element to it. Kinda.
Yeah.
But it's not like I would say that the other one we were discussing, Straight Jacket, really had that horrorcore feel to it. This just had me way too pensive and thinking about the social, political, economic situation in too much of a direct way. Like, this just felt like a guy who got like the worst end of his stick. All because, like, and it all starts like this girl pushes him, pressures him, makes him go out there and whatever, whether he should have a job or not, it's not the point. And then it ends with this same girl cheating on him and his son's growing up with another man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that is the type of shit that would make a person go fucking crazy. I was very impressed with this song. I felt like, wow, this is right back into the cool parts of where this album was at, like the story time shit.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 4.5. It's really dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story, like the whole thing, the way it plays out, and it definitely takes like that dramatic turn where kind of things feel like an exaggeration of his own thoughts, of his own feelings, of kind of like his own stresses, like the things that he just like wants to like imagine, but then he even realizes that like I think also part of like the horror core of it is that he ends up in jail, and I think the jail is just as like another horrible situation that he ends up in, and it's like, you know, all this violence and like people beating each other up, but it is all, unfortunately, all these young kids on, and he's also mentions that it is mostly black people that are there, and so like that's also like something that's like a negative thing, that he's only seeing like people like himself in jail, and I think that that's kind of like a shitty reality. Like I think that that's kind of saying that this isn't just something that's maybe happening to me, like this is probably happening to like all of the people that are going through this kind of thing, like where everyone's feeling like stressed out and pushed to the edge, and especially like if it is all these young kids that are in the jail, that they're all going to have the same issues not being able to get jobs in the future, because they're all also going to have records, and so it is sort of like this thing that's going to continue, and then it's sort of like seeing yourself as a young person and where you're at now, maybe like, you know, 5 years later or so, or 10 years later, whatever it is, like I'm not sure of like the age range for him, but like this could be like a reality for them, and like how that's like a horrible situation, and that all these things are just going to drive you crazy because you're not going to be able to escape it, and it's just going to continue and continue and continue. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty interesting. I gave this a 4.25.
All right. Well, it's the fuck you, man.
Fucked up grammar. If he was bad, mamma jammer. I ain't small, I have it coming like waterfall.
Well, his dick is so powerful that it will go. He doesn't have to worry about rubbers and shit, because it's gonna go smash so far up, and I believe when it's gonna crush the egg, making it not able to be fertilized by his jizz.
Or that there's no point in wearing, you know, any sort of birth control or taking any sort of birth control, because his penis is just going to like nothing can control it and what comes out of it, I guess.
Another really fun line to me, because it's not just a blowjob, honey. It's an adventure. And I like to think of blowjobs like adventures too.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, it's a real adventure for the girl.
It's a real adventure.
She's not getting any adventures back. Let's just be clear about that.
I don't know what you're trying to say there.
That he doesn't go down on girls. He talks
if he
about
wants
that.
to eat cat, he'll go to the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because it's an adventure to suck his dick. Because I mean, if you think about the power of his dick,
Yeah.
I mean, how many other dicks are that powerful? He's leaving bitches' vaginas with more stitches than Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But they didn't believe him, because this isn't even his first song like this. Since I made the record Talk Like Sex, bitches are coming up with their friends to hit the skins. So basically he wrote a song in the same vein as this one, and it was about terrorizing vaginas and shit.
Yep, and the girls are like, prove it.
Yeah, because they didn't believe it. But they also were like hoping it was just all hyperbole. But no. He is, in fact, savage with his penis and will destroy everything. Some even had the nerve to try to give me head and swallow the whole Jimmy to make a fed. I'm like, the gall of these women to like deep throat your fucking cock. But come on, you bitches, don't make me laugh. You couldn't deep throat giraffe if you was a motherfucking giraffe. And I'm like,
that sucks. It was such a crazy image when you imagine that.
I just picture his dick being like, and he's like, you can't handle it, man. And then, you know, no lady out there can handle the power of his penis. But apparently some try, and he finds it embarrassing. Because G's dick would make you seasick fucking me in a waterbed. Don't try to play me like no sucker, because these bitches calling up dial a mattress like a motherfucker. You heard the song before, you don't want to see me. I'll fuck you on the A train while I write graffiti. And I'm like, that sounds dope. I'm like, that is some savage shit. Like, fuck off. Why can't... I always wanted to fuck on the subway. Nobody ever said yes. They all said no. Everybody said no.
Gross.
I have seen people doing it.
Gross.
I saw people fucking on the bus shelter one time.
Gross.
And nobody ever says yes. I'll even fuck you in a taxi cab. Yeah, that makes sense, man. I would love to smash in the back of a taxi. And after sex with you'll be buying a box of maxi pads. I'm like, all right, if that's the power of his penis destroying the vagina to blood. No need for birth control, bitch, because my dick is touching the eggs. Kool G Rap, the pussy slammer. Hell, I'd be talking fucked up grammar if you was bad mama jama. I ain't small. I'll have you coming like waterfalls. And I'm like, this is absolutely one of the absolute best songs about fucking I've ever heard. Like, this guy's imaginative.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it. Like, if you're gonna make a creative song, if you're gonna make a song about fucking girls, you've heard 98% of what they do, right? It's boring.
Yeah.
I've heard nobody talk about the way he's doing this shit. If you want kids before I fuck you, look at the size of my dick and you'll adopt the motherfuckers. Because you don't want to have them coming out of you, because the power, their dicks would be that big too, and it would be very because the power that he's bringing to the babies he'd be coming, and you're like, you know what? Let another woman deal with that shit. I don't know. I really enjoyed this one. Shit, bitches, get open like a can. Just leave it to G-Rap, because I'm the neighborhood. Fuck you, man. And I'm like, I love it. This song is one of the best songs on the album. It is absolutely fantastic. I don't know why this is not on Spotify, but it's not on Spotify for some reason. So I had to be like chumps and go back to YouTube to listen to this, like fucking 2014 or some shit. But yeah, great track. Highly recommend it. 5 on 5. It's so good.
5 on 5.
It's one of the best songs on this project.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It proves that Kool G Rap can just do it all, right? Because how often can you make a sex song that is so absurdly awesome that it's like this? Nobody can do this.
I mean, I think I've given 5s to like sexual songs before. Unfortunately, I won't be doing that today.
Is it because you're afraid of his dick?
No, I'm not. I'm always up for a good challenge. No. No, but this is obviously about him and his exploits with girls and like the things he gets up to and how like difficult it is to like, handle his penis, and how he kind of jokes about girls trying to like actually giving him blowjobs, and it's just like all kinds of like references to blowjobs and his penis, and how he doesn't go down on girls.
He said that once.
I'm just gonna keep reminding everybody, his penis will destroy vaginas. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it.
But it's not just that it destroys vaginas. It's how it destroys vaginas.
All of these different ways.
Bonnie is not impressed.
Yeah, no. It's very decent. It's got like this kind of like jazzy kind of.
It's not like Jackie or Jackie.
I mean, I didn't hate that song. Yeah.
It's because it sounded like Jackie wanted to be slobbing on that knob as she did. Like, she wanted to be there doing it. Whereas these girls do want to be there. Let me be clear.
Well, but not like that other girl on the train.
He is almost going out of his way in this song to saying,
and
you
also,
do not want to fuck me. It's like a challenge. He's like saying, look, I got the monster dick of doom. I don't even want to fuck you with it because it's like you don't want this. You really don't, ladies. And it's like a subliminal trick. He's telling all the ladies, you don't want my monster dick of doom. Mm-hmm. And then all the ladies now want his monster dick of doom.
Yeah, it's true. That's all I can think about.
And what were you going to say?
His monster dick of doom. That's all I can ever say now. Anyways, it's basically a song about his escapades and how he likes to have sex and how he likes to have blowjobs.
See, again, I don't think it's that.
All right.
I think it's more like, ladies, you don't want this dick. It's too powerful for you. It's not I want all these things. It's I don't want to do this because it's not fair to you. And I love the difference between those things.
I don't know. It's not a song that I would go back and listen to again. I give this a 3.8.
Ridiculous grade. Now you are still wanted, dead or alive.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dug my own grave out this motherfucker, so I gotta hustle and gamble.
I feel like we just picked up where we left off somewhere. I'm not sure where the somewhere is.
Yep.
But we picked off from where we left off somewhere, and he's on the run. He's ready to go. But just so I don't mess up the story, we're going to hand it off to the MC of Mastress Dopeness, your lady friend Bonnie, who's OG thugging.
Yep, I sure am.
So go for it.
I mean, this is basically about him going down in like a blaze of glory. He has like a shootout with the cops. He'll kill you and then we'll cut up your body so that, you know, with like a... what is it called? No, it's the saw, chainsaw. He's gonna cut up your body with a chainsaw, and so they won't find your body. And I think he's just gonna throw it in the river, into the Hudson River. This one is basically about him being a violent, powerful guy, not just with his penis, but with other parts of his body as well. And how he doesn't go down without a fight. Like he's gonna like keep on.
Just like he doesn't go down on ladies.
Exactly. I mean, it is sort of just like the overall like sound of it and kind of feel of it is sort of like being in like a gang movie and just kind of like describing like his fantasies and like all of like this crazy stuff and like how it's either like he's not just going to surrender to the cops. Like when it comes down to it, like if it's like his final moment, like he's going to come out there and he's going to be like guns blazing and he's going to do what he needs to do to like till the very, very end. He's going to shoot until the very end. So that's just kind of it. So I gave it a 4 on 5.
So what I just noticed on Genius that I failed to notice before is that this is a sequel to the song Wanted, Dead or Alive.
I imagine something was, you know, since it's still.
And so now they're back. And I don't know what the first song's about because I didn't know it existed till just now. But still, it comes in and you get the sense that they're on the run and shit. And then, you know, you got stuff like, cause I'm a spit on your ass like Larry Davis, bumping him off something decent, jump out slow and drop the cocktail bomb in the precinct, and drop 10 with the Glock 10, boom, boom, boom. I made another cop spin, now Uncle Sam really wants me. So you're just picturing, like, again, that, like, action sequence. He's on the run, he's just dealing with shit, and he's always so fly about it. He's always, like the cops have no aim, and he's just clipping everybody, and he's just kind of, you know, trying to escape. And then, you know, I don't, again, really fully understand the context of what's going on, but, you know, it just sounds like a lot of violence in the second verse. You're still, like, picturing shit. There's some people who get mentioned, and I like the fact that, like, he's bringing up, like, I got my man C from Fort Greene, Al Capone, D Creative G, and Pete, my man B. I don't know who any of those people are. But they're ready to peel caps like potatoes. And then the next dudes are on the lookout. Up in the spot, people are crooked out and took out. Bang, there goes a brain. Bang, there goes a liver. And, you know, you're just picturing, like, they're, like, scoped out, ready to go, locked in, take out a whole gang of motherfuckers right there. And then the song just kind of flows into the third verse where, you know, don't really know what's going on 100%. But I really enjoyed listening to him rap about it. And I do believe that the person who came at him, he proceeds to kill him and then fuck his wife. Which I was like, that is pretty gangster, I guess. Like, it's one thing.
Yeah.
So maybe this is where the I fucked your girl thing came from. Like a sign of disrespect, right? Like,
I mean, I think people have been doing it since, like, a long time.
Like, I mean.
Like, even, like, after wars.
So if somebody crosses you, and in an act of vengeance, you go and fuck the girl, and she wants your dick. Yeah, there's something there. There's a reason I want that girl to want your dick. But lately, these days, rappers just want to fuck my girl just because. Like, I never did shit all to y'all, but you still want to have sex with my girl. I'm like, okay. In this case, the guy crossed him. It makes total sense he wants to fuck his girl. Mm-hmm. And that's the big epiphany I took away from that moment. Was it's okay to want to fuck somebody's girl if there's a reason. I mean, you maybe shouldn't, but, like, in the context of if you're going to be doing it, have a reason to fuck my girl. Like, at least have me piss you off or something. Otherwise, you're just... Why? Like, no offense, but, like, why are you going, like, out of your way to do it? Like, I mean, she's lovely, don't get me wrong, but, like, I've just never understood that about rappers. It's like, hot girl in the club. Do you have a man? Nope. Oh, my stiffy went away. Like, are you kidding me?
I think that's what it is. I think it's just like that being able to be, like, so powerful and so cool and whatever that you're able to, like, bring, like, even, like, married girls can't, like, withstand your charm, you know? Like, it's that kind of thing.
Either way, I love the beat on this song. I love the overall flow. I think he just hits it proper. It's a good tale of revenge on the run. 4.5 on 5.
All right. Well, are you ready to have 2 to the head?
So, this one starts off, and we have some friends. Different people that are not the cool G rap, not the cool genius of rap. No. We have a cool G of rap. Scarface starting us off. See, I come from a place known as the South Park Zone, and that was my first clue that maybe this was not cool G rap talking and I should pay more attention. Because I was like, I know what South Park is. We talked to K Reno.
Yep.
That's always going to be on my mind when I hear South Park now.
Yep. Not just
the Ghetto Boys. The Ghetto Boys are what they are. They're amazing. Not even disrespecting, but K Reno is not my go-to. Talking shit ain't in the click and take your punk ass home, because I'm the type of down chump, hit you in the chest with the motherfucking tech and watch you jump. So die, motherfuckers, die.
Yep.
Love it. Scarface is great, man. We reviewed The Diary. Loved it. We should probably do some Ghetto Boys or something, but like, I really like Scarface. He's become one of my favorite rappers on this channel. Every time you come across him, it's just his tone of voice, the bluntness, the believability, and the way he spits shit. It's just fresh. And honestly, considering what we've heard on Cool G Rap, it just makes sense that these guys are together on a song. It's pretty fucking cool. So I watched a music video to this, and I wanted to ask y'all if Bushwick Bill always wore like a mask, or if that was just for this video. I was just curious. And I don't know if the video I watched is the real one. I think it was, because it looked like everybody was rapping their lines. But just in case it was some fan-made shit. I watched a video for this. Bushwick Bill's fine. I don't have a lot to comment on him. I feel like of all the MCs on the track, he feels a little bit less good than everybody else on the track. And that's just what it is. But then we have Mr. West Coast himself, Ice Cube. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of this verse, we get pure lyrical genius. Pow, pow, buck, buck, pow, buck. I'm like, damn, your name is Stucky Mac. Now you realize that you're fucked. I'm making a little bit of fun just because, honestly, I wasn't expecting it. And then you see it in the video and he's just doing it. That's why I think it's the real video. Otherwise, man, Ice Cube's verse, ridiculous. I mean, it's fucking got that cool flow to it. That really, like, he looks mean in the video. Like, his face is mean mugging the whole time. Like, that guy does not look like he could crack a smile back then. And it's just fucking proper. The verse is just, honestly, everything you would hope for. And then when Cool G Rap comes in and closes it off, it's again kind of everything you would hope for, because these three guys having their distinctive styles coming together. Also, Houston, West Coast, New York.
Yep.
At a time when gangster rap is about to like pop off into that East Coast, West Coast thing. It was really a unity move, right? Yep. Spirit of what hip-hop and unity and shit type shit. Either way, see where I come from, the crime rate only rises. The murderers disguised in all ages, shapes, and sizes. Bitches picked and dicked up, they getting stuck up. Give up what you got or you'll get your ass shot the fuck up. That's harsh, man. That's like, it's like blunt. And you know what it is? I think the main differentiator between the gangster shit I like versus the gangster shit that makes me raise my eyebrow is that these guys do not sound happy about this shit. They sound like this is the world, man. We are tough. We got this. We are who we are. But fundamentally, it's not an enjoyable, fun experience. So when you hear about the other guys who it's like all fly and cool all the time, you're like, nah, that doesn't make no sense. Why do all the real ones sound miserable? Nah, you can't, like, it doesn't seem like you can be happy in this environment. Like, if you're a reasonable person, even if you're a sociopath, I can't see how you'd be fucking happy in this environment. Yep. So, like, I appreciate how blunt, how raw it is. Like, there's no holds barred, because people like me probably need to hear that this truth exists, because, like, you're not getting this in Montreal, or you're not seeing this in Montreal, given when it might happen sometimes. There is stuff that happens, but this isn't the reality I grew up with, you know? So when we look at the fact that shit like this can still exist, I mean, Chicago is probably a modern place where this environment, everything they're describing probably makes sense there if you look at that murder rate. So like, man, it's just crazy because like one of the main like takeaways I think, I mean, while everybody here sounds like really hard and shit, it's still guys from like all over who basically wrote their version of this album, because no matter where you were, you had rappers writing this reality shit, this gangsta shit as we'll call it or whatever. But like, I'm into data and metrics and shit, and I was just fascinated by how we can't come across an album that doesn't address this in some way. I mean, maybe in the newer music you'll get a couple, but you look at that like origin of rap, pick a city, pick a decade, practically all of them make sure that you know that shit's fucked up somewhere on that album. And you can't ignore that kind of data to me, but nobody's tracking it like that. So anyway, I just again was left with that feeling of this is fucking proper. They represent all their places, but all their places kind of leave you to the point where you're putting two in a fucking head. You know, like, that's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's like we should all unite. We're all going through this together. So unfortunately, Bushwick Bill did hurt the grade just a teensy bit, so I'm giving it a 4.75 on 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's not too much more. I thought Scarface did a great job. I also wasn't a big fan of Bushwick Bill. Like, he definitely stood out as being like the worst, but not in like he's not terrible, but he definitely wasn't the best as everybody else. And it's just sort of like basically where everybody has like their own verse, and they talk about like how badass they are and like the violence that they commit and that kind of stuff. And it was obvious that I think like a lot of this wasn't real, like what they were talking about. Like, it was just like such extreme violence and things like that. The beat was okay, but this, for me, it wasn't one of like my favorites on the album. I really liked when Kool G came back onto like the verse because or onto the song, because I feel like his verse, I mean, it is his album, so his verse felt like it was clearer and sharper a little bit than the rest of them for some reason. Like, I don't know if like that just like was in like the editing or whatever. And he steals and he's running away from the cops, and they'll shoot whoever. And it's just sort of like an overall warning that if you fuck with any of these people, if you fuck with Ice Cube, if you fuck with Scarface, if you fuck with Bushwick Bill, any of these guys, like, they will shoot you to the head and make sure that you are dead. Like, they're not leaving anybody like who may not be dead. Like, they're gonna kill you and shoot you twice. So it's a warning, and it's consistent with like the kind of like the rest of the album and like that kind of like badass kind of like violence that he's kind of talking about. But I do appreciate the fact that it is sort of like a united front, that they're all kind of like dealing with like this similar situation, and they're saying like, hey, like this isn't just like a New York thing, this isn't just like a California thing, this isn't just like a Texas thing, like this is happening everywhere, wherever like there's discrimination, and wherever there's like poor neighborhoods that are like, people are put there, and if there's guns, and there was the crack epidemic, and like this war on violence and everything else that was happening in like this time. So I think everybody was kind of feeling it together. I think there was like a lot of community that was dealing with a lot of like the kind of like the shit that was going on. So for me, like, it wasn't like the best closer of a song on an album, but it was still a good song, so I gave it a 4 on 5.
All right, so I guess that brings us to the end of this album review.
Yeah.
So for my like first real exposure to Kool G rap, I'm blown away, honestly. I mean, I get it. Like, sometimes you hear a person's like a legend or a seminal or a classic, and you're like, okay, I see it, and you like think about it. But Kool G rap is like, it's just really fucking powerful, I find. It's honest. It's the rhymes are ridiculously well composed to a point where, just given where he places in history, it's just, you can see how much hip hop is influenced by it. the diversity on the songs. Like, it's not like one of those albums where track over track over track over track is the same thing. It's instead like every song he may come off in the same kind of way with his flow, but he's so versatile in his imagination and the way he comes up with new ideas so frequently that it works. I mean, this is about an hour long, and like you don't really notice how long the album is. It's just a full and complete project. And then just the way it ends with those features and shit, it's like, and they don't credit them, or at least they didn't credit them on Spotify, so I had no idea. And then all of a sudden I'm like, is that Ice Cube? And it was like such a cool moment. So I gave the project a 4.52. I feel like almost the whole thing was like a 4.5. Like, they're really great songs. Any issues I have with it is like, I don't know if I like that beat as much because I'm not as into the sounds they used. That's like the entirety of my criticisms for the most part, is like, maybe these beats aren't all my favorite. I'm okay with that. This is not my favorite era for beats, but I totally appreciate it now. Whereas maybe when I was a little bit younger at this, didn't appreciate it as much. I respect the talent that goes into this. I think it's masterfully put together. So like, to me, this is empirically a classic. Like, it is a really great album. And like, it sounds amazing in 2019, and even the couple of references that could date it, they're fine. You can get past it. It doesn't come off dated. It comes off fresh for 2019 for the way he wrote it, which is also blowing my mind. It's not like full of fucking shits like when Nas taught us about how Guess jeans were popular at some point, or Anyway, I like it a lot. Recommend this to people for sure.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, like, this whole album is, like, very consistent. Like, there's not really, like, a bad song on it. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it was a good album overall. I gave this a 4.22, so it's an 84%. So, for me, it's a classic. It definitely feels like a classic. It sounds like a classic. And it's really interesting, just kind of, like discovering, and I think it's great that, I mean, at least personally, like, we are just, like, discovering, like, all these, like, great old school albums that really, like, created the music that we're listening to today. Like, there's, like, so much that, like, we're hearing in this, like, that we're hearing in songs like this that kind of reference, and like how it kind of, like, Eminem got his inspiration from, like, this kind of music and this kind of a sound, and like rapping about certain things. And I think it was just kind of interesting kind of seeing, like, the overall, like, how things started and where they ended up and how they work today, and like the differences. And I think it's really cool. That's pretty much it. I think it was a cool album.
All right, so thank y'all for being here with us. It totally means the world that you watch this shit, even if you just jump to the end and watch that part, or even if you watched
you just want to find out what the score is.
Frankly, it still means the world that you care enough to click on that video, considering the large plethora of reaction videos out there. And we're like the anti-algorithm channel that is not playing the game the way you're supposed to. We're just trying to make this about an interesting journey where we can all learn together about the hip-hop. So whether it's you're new to it and you can see all of what we've learned, or you're kind of laughing at us. Or maybe you're a
connoisseur and you know all of these albums, and you're
just kind of like, look at these dorky little folk. I'm okay with all of the reasons you might come and like watch our shit. That's totally cool. We're just going to keep growing and learning and doing this. I mean, the number of albums we've covered has gotten higher and higher week over week, so it's been really fucking fun. But we care a lot about your comments, because through the comment section, we've basically gotten decent at this. We were bad, and then people patiently and maybe not so patiently explained to us a lot. And on every review, like, especially, like, we'll just still get comments on videos that came out like 2 years ago. And so it's incredible just how putting out a video like this can encourage such growth in our, like, a bit, like, just that kind of comments that will get people to teach us shit just 2 years later. It's just incredible to me how almost permanent this all just kind of can be. Yep. I digress. So you participating in that is fantastic, and if you do comment, I'll make sure to answer it, because it's only fair and right and proper. You put time in, I should put time in too. Anyway, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, DJ Black Hurricane, who requested this one, Linda Williams, and Jonathan Barnes. Shit, sorry about that. Appreciate y'all. They support what we do directly. They helped us get a new camera. It just means a lot that people care like that. And they get access to our content early. Like this video was recorded on time, so it should have been given to them early. And other cool stuff as time goes on. We have a public Discord and a private one for the patrons, and nobody really uses it, but maybe one day we'll know how, because everyone has a Discord, but what is it? I don't game enough to know. But for real, special thanks to y'all. It really is cool. Plus, they get to tell us what albums to review. Like this one came from DJ Black Hurricane, which I've said like 5 times in this review now. But still, if you want to tell us what to do, boss us around, you can do it like that too. Otherwise, you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a little comment, and we can talk. We said that already, but it's that important to us. And yeah, I dropped a project recently. I've been working on there's like a little EP to support a bigger album. I'm almost done recording the bigger album, so that'll be exciting to release at some point. But you can check out the 5 tracks I put out already. It's on this channel. It's also on Spotify, Bandcamps, and shit. Let me know what you think. Bonnie's gonna have book reviews soon. That'll be something else we're plugging at the end. We're just growing. That's
I've got Instagram. I'm working on my social media game.
That's right. The Locksmith hearted her first picture.
Oh, what a great guy.
Because Locksmith is dope. He's on tour at MERS. You should check that out. If he hits your town, you should go see it.
Yes, go see it. It's totally worth it.
He's very dope. Anyway, have yourselves a great week, night, day, whenever you watch this, whatever time period best applies. Peace. Bye, guys.
Bye.